everything is coming through loud and clear. And we'll get going from there. We've got Buddy48 saying, do you have any plans of making content related to RIW 1K? Absolutely. So RIW was a pretty big push for me. I had to fly halfway across the country to get there, and pre that, I had a pretty stressful week at work, and post it, even more stressful week at work. So, and then coming back from RIW, and I'm sure you vibe with this, Brad, like, I don't know.
Sure.
I felt like my social battery was very drained, and that's hard to do.
Yeah.
I'm a very social person.
Yeah.
But I was exhausted for the week after that. So we haven't gotten around to making any RAW content, but we will. Clay's got some great analytical data. My co-host Clay has got some great analytical data. He's going to be comparing different tournaments and some of the data they've been gathering there. And then on my end, I'm going to be talking with Scarecrow pretty soon here. I was actually just chatting with him about 15 minutes ago about Vizkopa Guildmage, and
Nice.
we're both kind of converging around a similar approach to that deck. For those of you who don't know, Scarecrow is one of the rules committee members. He was at RIW Hobbies. He was actually in the same house, which was really cool. We were all living in the same place and hanging out. And he ended up taking down the whole tournament with Vizkopa Guildmage. And I think a lot of us were kind of blown away. I mean, it was
unstoppable.
It was disgusting. You were in the booth, right? And I think Alcadron and Derek both commented that he just got away with murder, crimes against humanity over and over and over again, right?
Yeah, well, he just wasn't able to be stopped. It was a sight to see, that's for sure.
Yeah, what was that experience like, by the way? We can share with people a little bit RIW right here if we want. What was that experience like? You were doing casting while you were there. What was it like working with their team and seeing all these decks?
It was great. The whole staff at RIW was just all-stars. Like, we worked with Brenda and Justin to get their stream set up. Like, they had planned on streaming it to begin with. And then Ryan and Brian DeMars and all them we're talking about commentating. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go ahead and do that. And Alcadron signed up and Derek signed up, So we showed up, and then I guess they hadn't really communicated that to Brenda and Justin, like the stream team.
Oh, okay.
There. They were just going to stream the event. They didn't know anything about commentators.
Wow. So they just got like this influx of talent that was just like excited to do this. I bet they were so pumped.
Yeah, they were. They had like 20 minutes to set it all up, but they rocked it out. Like, the first round was a little sketchy because I was in the featured room with the table with the players as they were playing.
So the audio
I couldn't really, quite a bit. So I couldn't really say a whole lot or talk a whole lot. But once between rounds 1 and 2, they set it up to where the streaming computer was outside, the microphone was outside the room, so we were able to just talk and say whatever we wanted to, and that was really cool. We got to see all these different players, all these different decks. We got to see Scarecrow like 4 times in a row, and it was great.
Yeah, no kidding. I actually wanted to pull up from my Google Photos here some of the pictures I got from inside the streaming room, which was incredible. I mean, their audio visual setup there was really quite special.
It was top notch.
Yeah. Here's the picture from the event. We can't actually see it. So let's go over to our chat page here. We'll go to the co-host, make sure Brad's visible there. But this was Clay, myself, and Scarecrow, and of course Bobby Be Fine, as you may know him. All in this wasn't the semifinals. This is before the semifinals. This is round 3. And Clay was on his iconic Malcolm Dargo. I was on Rilsa, Scarecrow on Vizkopa Guildmage, and Bobby, dude, Spice Lord Bobby. Let's talk about Floodgate.
Super Spice, right?
Floodgate. That
came out of nowhere.
That's some shit right there. Yeah. So we'll just like open this up real quick so you guys know what Floodgate is. And the funny thing is that Floodgate was actually a card that Brian DeMars and his group talked about on your live stream, right? Or sorry, on your podcast. They were kind of joking.
When they were guests on there.
Maybe we like meme with this like Floodgate, but like it was pretty sweet.
It was super powerful.
Yeah,
like way more than anybody expected.
Right. It was interesting. The only game I played against Bobby, I had a ton of blue creatures in play because I was on Rilsa. So all my unblockable stuff just literally didn't kill anything. So I think it felt bad during that game, whereas in most games you would have been able to wipe the board repeatedly while having a combo with the Peregrine Drake stuff. So I'm a big fan of that.
when I was commentating round one, it was actually Bobby B Fine versus 2 gut players and a Lotleth troll player. So he literally, it was just the board was wiped every other turn. Like,
Wow. That
they
yeah,
could not
that's
do
powerful.
anything.
And I think that, when we talk about combo in this format, really some of the premier combo decks are ones that can really defend themselves well. So
Sure.
some good examples are like your Abdel Sword Coast Sailor, even like Abdel Westworld, which would be the Iron Throne.
Hmm.
Or I mean, really any build of Abdel that can make a lot of bodies. TPI, if you
Right.
build it as a combo deck, can also have a lot of bodies in play. Gretchen just has this like 2 mana 0/4 in the command zone that blocks a lot of damage. So that's a characteristic we see a lot. And this is like a 0/4, or sorry, a 0/5 that
Yeah,
blocks
right.
most things and kills everything. It does a lot of damage. It's a fiery
It really
candidate in the
does.
early game. So definitely really cool. So from the experience, what were some decks that you saw that were really exciting?
Actually, round one, I was pretty intrigued by that Lotleth troll
Yep.
deck. I didn't get to see it do a whole lot thanks to Floodgate, naturally. Anytime it even got off the ground, Bobby was just
Yeah.
like Floodgate for 4, Floodgate for 6, Floodgate for 8. Like, let's go. Like, I'm just gonna keep wiping out your stuff. But that was pretty cool to see a nice
Yeah.
Golgari sort of just rock deck at the
Yeah.
tournament. Um, the Risen Reef deck ended up in the top 4. That was super impressive. I'd have to pull it up on Moxfield. Clay went ahead and put all the decks onto Moxfield.
Yep.
I can't remember for the life of me if he was running a combo in Risen Reef, but regardless, it was just a ton of creatures, ton of elementals, and he was just beating face with it. And it was super impressive to see him make the top 4 with it. I apologize for forgetting who the pilot was for that. Let's see what else. There was a nice Cormella list there. There was Mother of Runes was actually a very interesting deck to see at the tournament. That was there in round 2 in the featured room, and Alcadron and Derek were commentating that one. Let's see what else.
Yeah.
I was
I mean, I
actually
played
just
against
sort of
Risen
impressed
Reef.
with the whole field. Like
Yeah.
the
The
whole, there
whole.
was such
Yeah.
a diverse meta
It
up
really
there. It was
was.
very impressive. Yep.
Yeah. I fully agree. I played against Risen Reef. I was, it's exciting to me. Well, so first of all, I think the caveat it should be said that certain elements of the tournament, wouldn't be like fantastic data in terms of like the some of the people who played thought it was a 1v1 tournament, and there were a lot of
Yeah,
newer
yeah,
players too, which is great. This is all good things. But
sure.
the thing is the exciting thing about it is that man, people are exploring so much spicy stuff.
So much spice. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was
yeah,
awesome.
yeah. And I
Yeah.
think that really had me excited about just the tournament as a whole. One sec, I'm realizing that the chat is not coming through here. Let me just make sure we got the chat on lock. We're gonna do. Let's see. So we'll go cancel here. You guys think I'm a professional at this, but that's not how this works. Okay, there it is. Interesting. I wonder why it's not coming through. Maybe we need to get rid of the filter. Take the filter away? No? Huh. Let's see. I'm a professional amateur. That's how this
Right.
works. Oh, there we go. We just need to layer it
We all are.
properly. Okay, cool.
There we go.
And we'll swoop that in a little bit here so you can see the chat. There we go. There we go. Okay, wow, we've got a flood of comments coming in. I
Yep.
don't even look at the numbers here when we do this live stuff. Wow, we've got 7 people.
Mhm.
Thank you everybody for coming and joining us today. I'm really honored that we've got Brad here, and I'm stoked to have you all here as well. So, gonna go through the comments real quick. We've got Islane from the Possibility Store. Make sure to check out their content too. They do cPDH content all the time. And Hearsay is on the 13th or 14th. There's going to be a breakdown of basically making the transition from cEDH to cPDH, which is going to be a really cool conversation. There's going to be a bunch of content creators sharing their observations about that. Of course, y'all are doing this right as Sanctuary starts up the FNM. I know, yeah, I've got my streaming schedule right. We do
Yeah.
4 o'clock every time, and so Bobby just reached out to me and was like, "Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to step on any toes. Totally fine. More content, the better."
Sure.
And
Yeah.
for you all in chat, I just open them both up. There you go. You get the double feed.
That's right.
Straight
Double
to your
windows.
ears and
Get it
eyes.
going.
Yeah. Islane says, "Well, I'm going to be playing this boy right now. We're starting with a recap." Yeah. Just a little one. Here's the thing. RIW is so special for me personally, and I think for a lot of us because
Yeah.
and we've talked about this a little bit. Like we went from being like people who knew each other online to being like genuinely friends with a lot of people. And when I think back to like the beginning of COVID, when cEDH really took off with streaming and whatnot, there's a lot of competition between the content creators because there's a lot of money in it, and there was a lot of eyes and ears on it, and they were all competing for views, right? And what we're starting out with is this incredible, beginning point where we're all like coming to be friends, and we recognize that the rising waters raise all ships. So more cPDH content, more PDH content is better for everyone. So very stoked on that. And good luck, Islaine, in the games. Alex says, I in fact do not think that. Let's see. Professional amateur. We are a professional amateur. Yeah, that's right. Alex Scott says both open the ADHD special. Exactly. Yeah, if you're ADHD, that's man, right. You just drink deep. We're about to give you the juice here. So Mizu said, just can't watch Ryan and Brad. Let's see. Yeah, just can't watch Brad. Need the Subway Surface on the other screen. Yeah, exactly. Yep. Islaine says he'll be lurking. Great. Good to have you all here.
Heck yeah.
So yeah, just like that thing about like everybody becoming friends and being early in on this, but having a shared vision for growing the whole thing is different than what cEDH had. And I think that that's really exciting to me. I mean, we got to spend a bunch of time together, got to meet Bobby, got to hang out with Bobby, got to meet Gator, got to meet all these great people in the format who are really pushing to see more people enjoy this format. So pretty stoked, man. Pretty
it was super special. Super special.
Yeah. So with that, you ready, dude? You ready to do some Denethor stuff?
Hell yeah.
So, chat.
Let's do it.
The topic of today's Let's Build is Denethor ruling Steward. And when I saw this commander, my mind was like, Brad. Because you and I both love to do Extort. We love Orzhov stuff. Like
so
grindy Aristocrat shit is just like right up our corner. And and I think Denethor does a lot of the things that you don't often see on one card. And so the first thing I noticed was it makes a body every turn. It has a sack outlet on it that's instant speed and is a mana sink. And it's the payoff, it's the enabler, and it's the sacrificer all in one card. It's a 2/4 for 3, so it's a great blocker, and it's got some tribal stuff going on. What did you notice about this commander when you first saw it?
I did. I was almost lockstep with you there. The first thing I noticed was that it every turn makes a creature. That is huge for sometimes we'll see that and it'll be on like a 2/1 or a 1/1 or something really small, but like 2/4, that's not nothing. Like that's
shots
a good
fired against TPI.
Yeah, Denethor is going to stay out there for a minute. You're going to get immediate value pretty much. So I saw that, and then the draining everybody for one, that's decent. We have a lot of effects that play into that. We have a lot of effects that do that on their own. So I'm always down with the gain drain plan at any opportunity.
Life total differentials is a big deal. It's something that I've been playing a lot ever since the beginning of cPDH, or my beginning in cPDH was Witherbloom. Lately it's been Throll Parasite, which you deserve a lot of credit for. You posted on what was it, Twitter, right? You were like,
Twitter.
You're like, but what about this? And I was like, what the fuck is that? I was like, just that moment where it clicked, and the crazy effect of that is that Witherbloom Apprentice is it's like the second most viewed deck I think for cPDH on Moxfield. It's like 10,000 views, right? And look at this right here. Parasite. I like Witherbloom Apprentice. I love Parasite. It's just there's no other way to say it. Like playing a one mana commander, play your commander, turn 1 every game. It's really good. There's a lot to be said for that. So we've got a couple of chats here. We've got Mizu saying he's going to check this out while he's working on some paper stuff. Cool. Glad to have you here. And Alex says I usually try to engage with it, but sometimes I have to lurk when I'm not at the house. Totally fine.
Understood.
Yep.
Understood.
Good to have you guys
Hey, what's
here.
up, dude? Welcome, Bill.
Yeah, we've got Bill saying, hey, Ryan and Brad, have a catch the VOD later. Only have a data for a minute on the road. Yeah, no worries at all. Of course. It's just great to have you all here. And thanks for tuning in. Yep. So, Throll Parasite was entirely me even knowing about it. And that even came from the fact that I realized, like, every time I had an extort creature, it felt like I was playing Witherbloom Apprentice in my deck, but better because you gain 3 times as much life. And then I was like, well, I need to find the command zone for this. So Thrall was a great fit. And we're not actually doing Vizcopa today. What are we doing? Go home, Ryan. You're drunk. Let's see. We're looking for
But you are home.
Denethor here. Denethor. There we go. Okay, so yeah, we talked a little bit about the creature. You know, one other thing I noticed too with the 2/4 is that boy, this thing holds a pestilence great. You know, we can crack it for 2. Most things in the format do die to 2 damage, including all the combo creatures, and so this thing is going to allow us to keep a pestilence in play. You know, something else that came up, and I mentioned this before the live stream to you, is recently I did a really thorough write-up on white reanimation and black recursion.
Sure.
And as splash effects, these are very, very reliable, powerful, synergistic things you can do in white and in black individually, where you can use this new series of cycling creatures and you can abuse the shit out of these cards.
Yeah.
And they have a lot of really positive effects on your gameplay, namely that you never miss land drops.
Right. Yeah, that's huge in an Orzhov deck,
Massive.
because those, from my experience, Orzhov decks are some of the more pip intensive,
Yep.
like mana hungry decks you can find.
Yep, absolutely.
So
Yeah, no, you're hitting it on the head there, and so being able to find our dual lands, being able to find tech lands like Witch's Cottage, you know, your Mystic Sanctuary type stuff. There's all those lands that you can find as well as the duals.
Right.
Now, when you go in white and black, suddenly you get both. And so I don't know if this will be the end form of the deck, but I'm very curious to explore with you how we might apply both of those as just
Sure.
enablers for the general game plan while also doing the Aristocrats thing that we want to do. So what does that look like? The first thing is Reaping the Graves. Basically, it occurred to me one day that really like the biggest draw spell in black is actually Reaping the Graves. And
I love it. I absolutely
yeah,
love it. I think
crazy.
it's criminally underplayed.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is a black staple for me in mid-range decks. You know, for those of you who've watched my streams, you know I like mid-range. It's kind of my favorite thing. So Reaping the Graves is like uncounterable in a lot of ways. You're gonna draw 3 in a lot of cases, but you could draw a lot more potentially depending on how many creatures you have. So Reaping the Graves. Another one that I've been really excited about is Wander in Death. And Wander in Death is a 3 mana, return 2 creatures from your graveyard to your hand, and you can cycle it for 2. Beautiful. Like, it's never, like, Reaping the Graves might be a dead card in certain times of the game, early game in particular.
Sure, or they're just storm count's not going to get high enough
Yep.
when you need it to be, and it's
Yeah.
going to always cost 3 for 1 or something
Yep.
like that.
And
Yeah.
Wander in Death, you can always just say, hey, I don't need a creature from my graveyard, I just want another card. You cycle it away. Blood Fountain is the other one. Blood Fountain,
absolutely.
yeah,
absolutely.
a house, absolute house.
Yep.
Like just 2 mana loot, and then 4 mana later on, get 2 cards back uncounterably. So these cards here we're going to put under recursion, and actually we're going to do Wander in Death is also going to be under draw because we can draw off this. Now, what are some of the things that we might do in white? Well, white, and there's a lot more effects in this, by the way. You can play Unseal the Necropolis, dig up the body. You can do like Font of Return, what is it, Soul Stare Expedition. There's a whole bunch of different ways to do that. But in white, we get Reanimation. And reanimating these big creatures is heavy. So
yeah, that's heavy hitting.
It is. So we want to go, let's actually see if Function Reanimate is a thing. Oh, it is. That's spicy. So we got Breath of Life, False Defeat, we've got Resurrection, and we've got Late to Dinner. Those are kind of the 4.
Yeah, Late to Dinner, I think it's huge in here.
Yeah. This one's superb. There's a couple of other ones you can play too that kind of end up doing the same thing. The funny thing is that whenever you play False Defeat in your deck, it adds like $21 to the deck because this has 1 printing.
Right.
Yeah, but it is what it is. So we've got these reanimation effects. Now, what are we cycling? So we'll go cycling or type creature. Gloomfang Mauler, Twisted Abomination. You've got Troll of Khazad-dûm. You've got Eagles of the North. We've got Alabaster Host Intercessor. This one right here, of course. Like, what a house.
Yep. Yeah, huge.
Unbelievably good. Eagles of the North.
And it's good if you have to just play it for 6 sometimes.
Jump Palm Avenger, are we making soldiers? They are. They're soldiers. So we actually have an uncounterable
They
anthem.
certainly are soldiers.
Look at that. That's beautiful.
That did not occur to me. Yeah.
Yep. So you could even see a turn where you go Gem Palm Avenger, cycle it. You go Reaping the Graves to get it back, Gem Palm again. You're like drawing all these cards. You're, buffing up your team uncounterably. We've got Gloomfang Mauler. Horror of the Broken Lands tends to be something that more goes when you actually have other cycling and discard effects. But it
Yeah,
is
if you're
just a
going
one
in
mana
real
draw
heavy
one.
on it, yeah.
So there's
Yeah, you got
that.
to be pretty deep on the self-discard
Yep.
cycling situation for Horror of the Broken Lands to be awesome.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. This card in like Tormod Ghost,
Sure.
pretty heavy. But we got Street Wraith. This is a card that you see a lot of cEDH players want to put in their decks just by default.
Hmm.
And I actually think that if your deck doesn't gain life, it's not worth it. It's a lot of life to lose. It's like nearly 10% to just draw a card.
Yeah.
But in this deck, where we're going to have so many ways to gain life, this is free. This is so free.
Yeah, it basically is free.
Yeah.
I'm just going to discard it and draw a card. Yeah.
We've got Troll of Khazad-dûm, Twisted Abomination. Now, when you look at these cards, one of the things I notice is that these are all finishers. I've been playing Twisted Abomination, Troll, Street Wraith, and what's the other one? Gloomfang Mauler in Thrall Parasite with that whole recursion package, and it just, man, the difference is massive. Being able to just like turn the corner really hard with like this 6/5 that can't be blocked, or a 5/3 that doesn't die, you know, or even Street Wraith, just an unblockable 3/4. It doesn't die to bolt while it's drawing you a card. So you can see the layers of advantage that we get with these cards when you link them together is that we cycle them early so that we have a good game, and mid game we reanimate them, or late game we bring them back with the recursion package, and then we can play them out to finish. So you can almost look at it as like this right here is not only our early game and our mid game, because you can also find things like Idyllic Grange to give a counter to something, or Witch's Cottage to get back a Crypt Rats. But they also just finish the game for you. Like these are all finishers. Even
it's like they're giving you the mana they need to be cast later on.
Yep, absolutely. So this is a package of 15 cards that we're looking at here that allows us to do this really, really well. I'm not necessarily certain that this is like the end build of the deck, but I think it's something curious to explore with you while we're here together.
Sure, absolutely.
Pivoting from here, what do you think? What else? What are some of the core cards of a Denethor deck that don't involve this package?
That don't involve the reanimation package. Yeah, I'm drawn to that. The two phrases: if a creature died under your control, and also sacrifice another creature. Like to me, that wants you to have some sort of at least onboard aristocrats plan, or and to extend out from that, if you're sacking stuff to Denethor, or if you're sacking stuff to your own carrion feeder, or what have you, Deadly Dispute, that sort of thing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we should get those in there, right?
Yeah, I like to have creatures that can also come back. Like First Sphere Gargantua ends up in the graveyard. You bring it back for.
Yeah. Oh, I like that too. That's great.
Yeah, that they can unearth themselves, sort of thing.
Yeah. So what we're talking about here. So why is this not coming up? Draw O2. Is it maybe because? It's because it's 2 spelled. 2 cards. Yeah, that's funny, huh? So 2 is only for life loss and damage. It doesn't do 2 cards when you type that. So Corrupted Conviction, Costly Plunder, Deadly Dispute.
Yeah, Village Rites, all that stuff.
Yeah, Nasty End, actually, because if you sack Denethor, you draw 3.
Yeah, if it's getting targeted and you're just like, nope, I'll draw 3.
Take 3. We're going to do Reckoner's Bargain and then Village Rites. And I think this is going to be a really awesome package.
Reckoner's Bargain, I think, is massive in this deck because of all those land cyclers are 5, 6, 7 mana. Like, that is a jump in life.
It's huge. I mean, you could easily see a turn where you go, like, in a pinch, you Resurrection Alabaster Host Intercessor, you kill their commander, and their commander goes back to the command zone, and then somebody tries to kill you, and you Reckoner's Bargain and gain 6.
Yep.
And then maybe you draw into another reanimation spell. I mean, all this stuff. Do you see how it works together? It's kind of sick. Like,
it's constant value. Yeah.
It is constant value, and of course, all of these just work really well with Denethor. He's making bodies that we can eat, and really, when you compare this to other black decks, our draw is even more efficient than other black decks, which already have Night's Whisper and Sign in Blood, right?
Yeah.
So, so that's great. We've got Village Rites. We're going to drag these over. Costly Plunder can also sack artifacts. Deadly Dispute, same thing. Reckoner's Bargain as well. Nasty End is only creatures. I was looking.
And so far, we're 22, 23 cards into the deck, and we only have a couple cards that are double pipped. Everything else is like a
a good
plains
point.
or a black, and then a bunch of colorless.
Yeah, not bad at all. Not
That's
bad at all.
nice. Yep.
Yep. I also looked at Tragic Slip. This is going to be a great Tragic Slip deck, right? I
Oh,
mean,
sure. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Another thing too is that when we're making bodies, Edict creatures become really good.
yeah. Super good.
You know, we can kind of look at it as like we're upgrading a 1/1 to a 4/2 while killing 3 creatures in play. And it's turning on Denethor. So I actually think that even though Edicts have become a little less good in the meta, you probably saw this with like Abdel. Making somebody sack an Abdel doesn't feel very good. And if they have tokens in play, they
Right.
don't need to.
Right.
Gut doesn't really care about sacrifice. TPI doesn't care about sacrifice. Gretchen doesn't care about sacrifice. So if
Yep.
we're talking about some of these like heavy hitting decks that have been like pretty popular, a lot of them aren't hit by it. But Black has ways to reuse them over and over and over and over and over and
Constantly.
over again.
Yep.
Like, and the initiative allows us to flip them into play, and there's still problem permanents that need to die.
Yeah.
You know, we could even look into playing Grave Flicker effects to like reuse those as well. So I think that the edicts will do function edict type creature. So we're talking Fleshbag Marauder. Oh, they don't have Edict. You know, I'll tell you guys, for those of you watching, if one of you was interested in helping this community out a lot, it would be in contributing to Scryfall's tagging program and starting to fill in the gaps. Because Edict is not a
Scryfall
function
doesn't
you
have
can search
Edict.
for, right?
Yeah, it's not
Protection
Edict
isn't
a
even
function
one.
on. Yep.
So this would be a really cool project if some of you have time. But we'll do type creature. Actually, you know, I already know what they are. They're Fleshbag. So we'll go
Fleshbag.
back
We
to
got
that.
Chain Devil,
Slum
Slum Reaper. Yep.
Yeah. Fleshbag Marauder, Slum Reaper.
I do like Chain. You know, even if we had to narrow it down to one, Chain Devil would get my vote just because it's
Yeah.
non-creature token.
Yeah.
Or non-token creature. Sorry. Yep.
Absolutely. And when I'm building decks and I want to have an edict in it, Chain Devil is usually the one that makes it. Even if I don't have a lot of slots for that effect, I want to have one
Sure.
of them. And
Yep.
Chain Devil being non-token is massive. So let's get that like that. And then we'll do Slum Reaper, and we're going to do Fleshbag Marauder. I think that the way that they work in this deck is just like too good to ignore.
I think so too. I agree.
So creatures, and then I added Bone Picker. I kind of liked Bone Picker.
We need flyers. We're gonna need flyers.
And the ability to have like a stalled board state where we have a flyer that can pick in for 3.
Yep.
It's just a 1-minute. It's a Delver, and then it can be defensive
with
with the Death Touch.
Yeah, sure.
Yep, it's very good. And I think you know, like this deck seems like a perfect home for the Initiative and the Monarch, right? Like we defend it so well.
You got to, I think.
Yeah. Like I think if you're not doing those things in this deck, you're probably doing it wrong. Yeah. So
especially with all the recursion we have, you know, possible grave flickers, regular flickers, like who knows? You know, it's gonna be easy to introduce the Initiative or Monarch to the table and get it back if and when you lose it.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So with that, we should also go in there. Are there any? You know, we actually have Rot-Tide Garganta as well.
Yeah, hell yeah, that's a good one.
Right? Rot-Tide Garganta is pretty cool among the Edict creatures because there's a couple things. It's a zombie that can be relevant, not always. It's 2 black pips. Its ETB is optional. You don't need to exploit. You can just play a 5-mana 5/4. And also it's a 5/4. You know, it's like Slum Reaper is a 4/2, 3/1. You know, this is a Gurmag Angler, right? Like,
and if you do exploit it, that procs Denethor, so you get your token for it.
Yep. And the one thing you need to keep in mind with Rot-Tide, and a lot of people don't know about this, and I hate sharing it because this is like tech. But if somebody plays Rot-Tide Garganta and exploit goes on the stack where they're invited, whether they want to sacrifice or not, if you kill Rot-Tide Garganta and they were to sacrifice a creature, Rot-Tide isn't in play to see that you did that, and it does not make everybody edict. So what you do is if somebody kills it, you decline the exploit trigger, but it basically means that people's removal becomes a counterspell to your edict.
Right.
But it is a 5/4. I mean, it doesn't die to as many things. So
for sure.
So I think it's good in this deck, just because the edicts are really powerful.
Right.
So there's that one. And then let's get the classics in there. We need Vicious Battle Rager. We need Thorn of the Black Rose.
Yep.
Palace
Sentinels.
Palace Sentinels. Yep. You were a big fan of Orzhov Pestilence in Pauper, right?
Sure, for sure. Yep.
Yeah, Pestilence decks. So Palace Sentinels. There we go.
And I'm okay with either with Palace Sentinels or Guardians of the Guild Pact.
Oh, Guardian of the Guild Pact should be in the deck too, right?
Yeah, I like it.
Guardians,
if there's room,
like infinite
if
blocker.
we have to cut one of, yeah, if we have to cut one of those two, I'd cut Guardian of the Guild Pact, but I do like them both.
Yeah. I think they're Guardian is also one of the best hits off Throne of the Dead 3.
Oh, so good.
Yeah,
That's
I've
gross.
ended games with a 5-power unblockable, unkillable creature.
Yeah, that'll do it. That'll do it quick.
Yep. So this is going to be draw. This is going to be creatures. Okay, and then we're going to do, let's see, Gloomfang Mauler, creature. We've got Staunch Throne Guard, creature. Staunch Throne Guard is also going to be under draw. So we have Palace Sentinels, Thorn, Staunch Throne Guard, and then we have the Vicious Battle Rager, and we need, the other one is Underdark Explorer.
Yep, good call. Good call.
Yep. Bring that over there. And then what do you think about Trailblazer's Torch? Is it good enough? Is it just a 4-drop initiative card?
I have come to love it, honestly. Like, you put... I play the hell out of it now, but where I fell in love with it was my Spiritmonger deck, actually, my Golgari deck. You know, you put the Trailblazer's Torch on Spiritmonger, it goes to attack, it deals 2 damage to defending creature, that creature dies, Spiritmonger gets a counter, it buffs him up. You know, if you can give your creature Death Touch, that 2 damage is going to kill it regardless.
Absolutely.
And then your creature gets through. Like, it's just so versatile. You can, if you have to, you can Deadly Dispute it in a pinch.
Yep.
Like,
I think
so many options.
You could look at Trailblazer's Torch as just 4-mana initiative, and it's like just good enough.
Yeah, 100%.
Like this card, like if you read this card to somebody without them really knowing what it did, you'd be like, okay, so it's a 4-mana card. It searches up a land, and then the next turn, if nobody's attacked you, then you put 2+1/+1 counters on something, or you scry 2.
You put 2 counters
and then
on your Guardian of the Guild Pact. I mean, come on.
You know, it's like it just goes on and on, right? And
yeah, it doesn't stop.
Yeah. And with our 1/1s, it means that they trade up with 3 toughness creatures, which is good.
Right, exactly.
This is basically first strike. You know, in a small way.
That's huge.
But yeah, I think it's great. You know, even Denethor with it means it trades with a 4-power creature. Probably not going to come up, but it's good. It's very good.
You never know.
Yeah, you never know. And then we've got Goliath Paladin. There we go. Goliath Paladin, just a Chungus 3/6.
Just massive.
It's just so thick.
Yep.
Like
Vigilance, like that's huge. Yeah.
It's big. It's big. You know, the cool thing about this stuff too is that the reanimation package starts to look even better now, right? Like these initiative cards, if they're worth countering, they're worth killing. They go to the graveyard, you get them back.
That's what I'm saying. Like this deck has so many ways. Like
such grind.
So you spend all your mana to like cast Goliath Paladin, and then you know someone hits you with a flyer and takes the initiative, and your Paladin dies to removal. Well, you're just gonna exhume it or reanimate it next turn and get the initiative right back. Like it's not a big deal.
Yeah, or
it's
Reaping the Graves, or Blood Fountain, or Wander in Death. I mean, look at this card advantage package here. This is like 23 cards that all represent some form of like pretty heavy card advantage. Like Resurrection, like these are card advantage because the card that we're bringing back already got us a card, right?
Right.
Yeah. So let's get these reanimate. Actually, we'll do recursion and reanimation because they're kind of doing the same thing. And we'll do this one here. We'll do recursion and reanimation here. Let's see. So Control A. Nope. There we go. A little housekeeping. Boom, boom. Y'all know I like to keep my stuff tidy and organized. So there we go. Bring it over here into that. Okay. So we have 19 creatures already, which is great. I love this in initiative decks. I love this in this particular context.
Right.
And we've got our card advantage pretty well locked down. There might be some stuff we could play as well, like Sign and Blood, Night's Whisper if we wanted to. It doesn't look like we even need it. But yeah, we need removal, potentially ramp, some token makers, some other stuff, payoffs maybe.
Sure.
Oh, you know what? We're white-black. We get Suture Priest and we get Bloodseeker.
Yeah.
How cool is that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah, these cards are great, chat. If you aren't familiar with them, both of them punish people for playing creatures, which means that if somebody is flickering, they can't.
And Denethor makes tokens and lets you sacrifice tokens if you want to. I don't see why we can't have the bats in this deck.
The bats. Oh, Mirkwood bats.
Yeah.
Oh God. Oh, Brad.
Right.
He's still my beating heart.
Deadly Dispute makes our treasure token. We can sack, like, we've got tokens.
Yeah, and what's really special about Mirkwood bats, and I've never seen this on a card, is a trigger for creating something, which means that the moment you create it, it doesn't need to enter the battlefield. It's just, it triggers.
It just triggers, yeah.
It's pretty
Doesn't
sick.
matter. Yep.
Pretty sick.
Yep.
So Mirkwood bats is going to be an absolute powerhouse. Now, Mirkwood bats is 4 mana. You know what's also 4 mana and finds 4 mana things? Yes. Dimir Houseguard. This is the hero of black decks. This card is insane in this deck. Like, if we have like a Falconwrath Noble or something like that, we can actually like use Dimir Houseguard to sack everything to like fireball somebody. But it also tutors for Befoul for land destruction and creature killing, Snuff Out for creature killing. I've actually done that before. There's like, you draw Dimir Houseguard, you need to kill something, and you just 3 mana, pay 4. It becomes like a bad murder.
Sure. Yeah.
But more importantly, Arms of Hadar, Evankar's Justice, Pestilence, Siphon Mind, Thorn of the Black Rose, Vicious Battle Rager, Trailblazer's Torch, Mirkwood Bats. Like, how many fucking cards do we need to talk about to like?
Right,
like,
and you know what?
crazy.
In this deck, we're gonna get more than one transmute out of Dimir Houseguard because we can transmute it, reanimate
Reaping
it,
the Graves, baby.
Yes, exactly. Yep.
Yeah, you see it. So this is like this ecosystem. Like when I did the first like thought experiment around this, I was like, it was like this like brain worm that I had where it was like, we've got a lot of cycling creatures now, don't we?
Yeah.
And I was like, they've got to be good. And then when I started to piece it together, I was like, holy shit. Like, you get back Dimir Houseguard. Like, wow.
Yeah.
And when you combine that with other colors, if you're blue-black, you can get back Drift of Phantasms.
Yeah.
I mean, even Dimir, what's a Dimir Infiltrator? The blue-black one that tutors for 2. I mean, it's really strong. So tutors, creatures, and then we'll actually create a package for this as a category.
Sure.
Okay, so what are some other things we could play in here too?
I was curious where we were going to go with the early game. Are we doing small creatures, 3-man inspectors, shambling gas, nested shamble, that sort of thing, or are we using the early turns to just drop mana rocks so we can cast this heavy shit later on?
That's a really good question. So I did some math actually last night with a really a quiet but a very impactful member of the community, a guy named Bodarn, and he's doing a bunch of stuff with the cPDH.guide and Clay. He's doing a lot of really cool back-end stuff. This format's so cool because with the community, there's so many people doing like back-end stuff that you guys never see that I get to hear about. You get to hear about, and it's like they're making a big difference. And Bodarn's a math guy like me, but he's actually knows how to do math. I don't know how to count. So he talked to me about and actually another mathematician that we have in the community is Alcadron. For those of you who don't know, he's a math teacher. And I've come to him on numerous occasions with like Passageway Seer. I wanted to know how many rocks do I need in my deck to play Passageway Seer on turn 3, 90% of the time with the willingness to mulligan to 6. And he gave me a number. It was like 86% chance of doing it with 14 rocks, and
nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So I was talking with Bodarn, and he had a great number for me. If you want to draw a card in your opening hand and you're willing to mull to 6 and you want it to happen 90+% of the time, 11 cards. That's the number. So
11 effects of that nature. Okay.
So I think like we could look at actually having a pretty decent ramp package in here.
And that kind of makes sense too. Like, I don't know the math behind it, but like in 60 card formats, it's the rule of 8. If you want to see that effect in your opening hand, play 8 of that effect.
Bolt and Galvanic Blast, great example.
Exactly, right? So, that extends into PDH and it makes perfect sense.
So another thing that I like too is that when we play a lot of mana rocks, we can actually Extort becomes really fucking good.
So good.
So
yeah, I didn't even think about that. I haven't even gotten to the Extort package yet.
Look at this. So it's like, so we just get to have like 6 Thrall Parasites in our deck.
Yeah,
I genuinely think we play all of these. Like,
I don't see why not. Honestly, I really don't.
I mean, like all of our cheap draw spells are going to be
you want to keep the pressure
easy.
On. So,
yeah, and these are like generically good cards.
If you only play 2 of them and they kill them, they're like, cool. We don't have to worry about Extort the rest of the game. Like,
exactly.
I don't want that.
The only
on
one
every
I
turn
don't
all the
like to
time.
play is Syndicate Enforcer. I don't know what your feelings are on this, but it is 4 mana, so we can tutor for it with Dimir Houseguard. But
Mhm.
it's a 3/2. Um,
It feels a little bad.
yeah, it's kind of bad, right? Like all these
Yeah.
other ones are like reasonably costed. Like
It just trades down like
yeah,
all the time.
it always
Yeah.
trades down. It never can attack really. So I like all these though. So we're gonna put these into hashtag extort. And actually, let's just do life gain because that's really it's kind of why we play extort. Is that when you want to
Sure.
play mid range, life gain is so important to that. That's an important ingredient to being able to like push into a mid in a late game when there's a lot of damage flying around. And I actually
Yep.
just played 2 games with Golem. Both of them I got extort, and both of them I ended the game with way too much life in an aggro deck. You know, like I'm attacking
Love it.
every turn,
Love it.
and I was like so much life,
Right.
massive. You want to hose a loyal subordinate player? You just like have an, you know,
A life gain
Yeah.
plan. Yep.
like just turn off all the work they did to get that commander out on turn 1. So these are great. We can get them back with Reaping the Graves. They will die because they're good, but we can get them back.
Yep.
So good stuff there. But, you know, like the funny thing is we're looking at just like a generic. It's funny, like everything we're playing, this is like white, black, good stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And
Yep.
we still have like approximately 20 slots left. We're going to need some removal. We're going to need some sweepers. We're going to need some stuff that works with Denethor as well. And we may need to actually shave on some of the other, you know, good stuff.
Now we've
effects.
got, looking at it right now, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 creatures that can get hit by unearth and or recommission. Do we want to slot those in there?
Ooh. That is a great
Recommission
question.
will also get.
So
I
it
don't know
gets
if it'll
back
be any artifacts.
Kingpin's Pet, Basilica Guards, Tithe Drinker. So it
Your
gets back
Suture
some
Priest.
pretty good stuff. I think
Yeah.
it'll be more clear whether recommission
It'll
is
get back
good.
Crypt Rats if we
Denethor.
want to put. You know, it'll go back Rats if we want to
Yep,
put Rats
Rats
in the
is
deck.
great. That's a really powerful interaction. I think we need to fill out our creature base and see
Sure.
see
See
if
where we're
that
at.
looks, because I think that yeah, it's like 2 mana reanimate to get back like a fair number of pretty good cards, including
Mhm.
our commander. Right, putting
Right.
Denethor into play, back into play as a 3/5. You know, I don't know that I want to
Oh
send
yeah.
Denethor to the graveyard, but you could.
You could.
You could. And
Sure.
he'd be, you know, 3/5. So what are some other generically good white cards that are going to work with Denethor?
Let's see here. Let me read.
So we got to go O human, O token, right? And actually, we could just do creature tokens. It doesn't need to be humans.
Sure.
Omen of the Sun seems really good.
Omen of the Sun's good. It's got life gain. You can extort it. You can flicker it if you need to. If we're going that route, it makes tokens. Yeah, all that stuff.
Oh, interesting.
Omen of the Dead's good.
We've got the 2 what is it called? There's the Crier, Acacian Crier, as well as Thraben Standard Bearer, where we could actually discard our cycling
You can
cards.
make tokens. Yeah.
That's an option. We have like just this generic 2, you know, make 2 1/1s. There's a part of me that wants to stay away from non-creatures now that we have such a good creature package, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So some of these ones here, like these 3/3s, we've got a couple of them where you could go like turn 3 Denethor, turn 4 Protector of Gondor, Day Squad, you know, Day Squad Marshal or Clarion Cathars. And I like these because one of the bodies is decent and one of them is fodder, right?
Sure.
So it does mean our curve is a little high, but we'll throw them in for now and see how they look. Maybe we leave Omen of the Sun out. Omen of the Sun is nice because it's flash and it gains this life and it can scry too. So it's a generically very, very good card. But
yeah, it's generically decent. I found in my decks anyway, it's more likely to be better in a deck where you can flicker it or bounce it back to your hand with Skyfisher or what have you. You know, casting it simply just once isn't always that great.
Right. And I think actually because we have all these great ETBs, I think there's some validity to saying if we want to play any protection, it should be flickers. Because then, you know, we get to reuse good flickers. What are some other, so O creature, O token. Let's see what else we get. They don't necessarily need to be humans.
Sure. So we have like the Hunted Witness, that sort of thing. If you're interested in turning 1/1s into 1/1s, Doomed Traveler,
Oh yeah, yeah. We've got Beckon
Garrison
Apparition is
Cat,
pretty
all
cool here
that.
too.
Yeah, Beckon Apparition is great.
I like this.
This may be a deck for Unmake.
Oh, Unmake is a good card here. Oh, Battle Screech. Jesus Christ.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Battle Screech, sure. Yeah.
Heavy breath. Actually, Anointer Priest gains a lot of life in this deck too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it sure does. With Embalm,
You can
fine,
sacrifice it. That's pretty sweet.
Now, hold on. Let me read the card before I suggest the card.
Oh, Sen's Enlistment is bonkers here.
Sen's Enlistment.
Charge of the Mites is also really good. Although Charge of the Mites is interesting. Like the 1/1s don't block, which is kind of a big deal. And
it is.
And we have black, so like, why do we need? We don't need like the worst white removal for this deck, right?
Now, I guess we'll have to see, kind of towards the end where we're at with our amount of reanimation, recursion, unearth abilities, all that sort of thing. But this might be a deck for Breathless Knight.
Oh.
The 3-mana flying lifelink. Whenever Breathless Knight or another creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature entered the graveyard or you cast it from a graveyard, or it entered from a graveyard or you cast it from the graveyard, put a 1/1 counter on Breathless Knight.
Interesting. Let's go take a look at that one.
So that's okay.
So it's a target.
I had to look it up. I thought it was kind of the Conrad text where if anytime a creature leaves the graveyard, it gets a counter, but no, it has to actually be cast from the graveyard. So that's okay.
Entered from the graveyard or cast from the graveyard. That would work with any escape creatures,
escape creatures, unearthed creatures, etc. Or any of our
like
late to dinner, recommission, unearth. Yeah.
The only thing is, I don't know if we really want to reanimate this, right? Because it's actually we're actually losing mana value on that. Whereas like if we reanimate a Gloomfang Mauler or like an initiative card, like that's a higher value kind of a thing. The flying lifelink is really strong. Evasion is really good when you're like turtled up. So if you're turtled up and you've got the initiative and the monarch, having flying creatures is pretty big game. I think what we should do with this one is let's add this to the considering so we can come back to that one.
Like a perfect home.
Okay, what other stuff do we have in here? We have a lot of like these 2-mana 2/2s that make another body. And we have 1 mana, and we have the 1-mana ones, which are probably just playable. We have Encore as well. Holy crap.
Oh, yeah, the Encore.
Geez.
Yep, you can sacrifice them before they get exiled.
Yeah.
All the tokens, sure.
I mean, let's add this to considering, because sometimes these ones don't really make the cut. We've got Eyeblight Colors, which is an insane rate to get 4 bodies off of, like, 1 creature. This kind of reads like 6 power on 5 mana.
And the same thing with like Soul of Migration. If you plan on, 7 mana is a lot.
Oh, Soul is great.
But if you can flicker it,
and you can reanimate it.
And you can reanimate it.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. That one's actually one that I like to play in these reanimation decks as well. We've got Girder Goons. Actually, is pretty sweet here because we can blitz it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I forgot about that card.
It's going to make 2 bodies. We could actually. The cool thing is we can Girder Goons, haste in, hit them, sacrifice it, draw a card, and then we get the 2/2. So it's pretty high value. We can also discard this to blood tokens, which we have several of. So I think Girder Goons is quite
and our
good.
blood tokens proc the bats. Like, that's pretty good.
Grixis Slave Driver is another one. I like this card.
I love that one so much.
God, I can't ever find like good homes for it, and maybe this is the one. But there's just a lot of cards like this mana cost is a lot, so that's the only.
It is.
Only
what do you think of the 4 mana 4/2 Exquisite Huntsmaster? Has Encore for 5 when it dies. Create an elf token.
Yep. I've got that one in considering as well. I think that one's great. The Encore, hasty attackers that are going to replace themselves with bodies. It's going to turn on Denethor. It actually seems pretty clutch here. It's funny. We're looking at a deck where we're going to have almost 40 creatures. And I don't hate it,
No.
Right?
I'm a fan.
Yeah. So going on from there, We've got Hunted Witness is another one. Indoctrination Attendant. Such a cool card in this deck. If you're basically like a core Skyfisher that's making a body, it's a 3/4.
Oh, sure.
Right? Seems good.
It's only 4 mana. I mean, that's not
bad at all. No. Something has to die, so this doesn't really work with that. But yeah. Join the Maestros is kind of like 5 mana, put 8 power and 6 toughness into the play. We have to sacrifice 2 bodies to do that. You have to sacrifice a creature with power 2, so we don't actually have that in this deck.
Right.
What else do we have? We have Lab Rats is another one. Although I think Recruit the Worthy, which Mizu recommended earlier and I added, I think is probably the better one there. Moan of the Unhallowed. It's pretty sweet.
Oh, I love Moan. Yeah, I can never find a good home for it, but I do love it.
Oh, Mordor Trebuchet is pretty nice. Oh, you have to attack with goblins and orcs. Never mind.
I was just looking at that one. Yep.
Yeah, that's too bad. We're going to put Moan in the sideboard. What else do we have here? Pegasus Guardian is probably very good.
Pegasus is great.
It's gross, actually.
It never lets you down. Yeah.
Yeah. This is very sick. Raise the Alarm, great. What else do we have? We have Rotten Reunion. The Decayed tokens sacrifice themselves. So this is a great... this might be better than Beckon Apparition. I like that Beckon leaves us a flyer that we actually can use over and over again. But Rotten Reunion's making things that sacrifice themselves during our turn while being pretty oppressive graveyard hate.
Right.
So that one seems really good. Oh, we have the Cohorts too with Unearth. Interesting. Any of these like new... This is like a lot of mana though. 4 mana for 4/2 on 2 bodies. Unearth it again. Maybe.
Yeah.
Could sideboard that one. Seller of Songbirds is one that I kind of like too.
I've always had a soft spot for that card too.
Yeah. Makes a flyer. We also have Shambleback type effects. We have a couple of these that put a 2/2 into play, exiling cards, but they only exile creatures, which is a bit of a problem because the reason we play Graveyard is not for creatures. We play it for
yeah, exactly.
other things. And
the good stuff.
Yeah. With Sigarda's Imprisonment. I forget that this exists sometimes. This is pretty cool. It's a pacifism. You can pay 5 to exile the creature you pacifismed and make a blood token.
Yeah.
What else do we have? Stony Brook Schoolmaster. We have a Suspicious Shambler. This is a funny card. God, I love the flavor on this. Oh, Triplicate Spirits.
Always good.
Yep.
I'm never sad with that one.
Undercity Scrounger. What do you think of this?
I cannot. I love this card.
Yeah.
Let me just say that I do love it. I can never get it to work the way I want it to work in my head, but I do love it. And we're never going to have a problem creating a treasure token. That's never going to be a problem. So we're going to have creatures dying all the time.
It's basically free because of Denethor's thing, right?
Sure.
So it seems particularly good here.
Works with the bats, like, does all kinds of stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So
now,
we're probably deep into red now. Let's see how many cards
with the Extort we got going on and the Suture Priest and all this good stuff. Do you think this is a Creeping Bloodsucker deck? Trespassers Cure, not Trespassers Cures. The other one.
I mean, Curse is also good too. Creeping Bloodsucker is just a free Extort
Ill-Gotten
every
Inheritance.
turn. Ill-Gotten Inheritance. You know, I like those cards, but I think in this deck where we've got such access to life gain through the Extort and the ability to get it back, that those slower effects would almost be better just as like creatures that are or something that's going to make bodies. And we don't even have any like sack outlets right now, or not very many.
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
So like we probably need like Viscera Seer seems good.
Carrion Feeder
could work.
Mortician Beetle, since we're surrounded by sacrifice creatures, and then that makes our edict effects even better.
It really does, yeah. Mortician Beetle is definitely strong. We also have Gixian Infiltrator, which is the other Mortician Beetle, but it's only you though, which is Mortician Beetle's any player.
Yeah, we have a ton of these. Yeah.
So let's bring in some of the ones we know we're going to play. Pegasus Guardian is also going to be a flicker, because I think we actually do want to have some flickers.
I think
Soul
we
of
do too. If
Migration,
nothing else, for protection. Yep.
right? Soul of Migration is great for the reasons we mentioned. Um,
What's the
I think Undercity Scrounger is quite good here. Anointer Priest probably isn't necessary because we have such life gain in the deck already, and it's not draining.
mm-hmm.
Viscera Seer does seem important. Karen Feeder does seem important, mainly just because they're instant speed free ways to trigger, Denethor. I think that's
Right.
pretty important. What I'm noticing though is that we don't have a lot of fodder in the deck yet. We don't have a lot of things that we actually like to sacrifice. It's almost like we're looking at Denethor and saying, "You make bodies, we sack them, but we
And
have
that's
to be able
just
to make
stuff that
bodies."
happens.
Right?
Yeah, right.
And so the edicts maybe are part of that because they sack
Now, see, I
themselves.
like, since we're in this sort of like Trailblazers Torch, heavy creature sort of deck. I'm also a fan of Scroll Shift because it'll
Oh,
exile,
Scroll
it'll
Shift.
flicker a creature, an enchantment,
Yeah,
or
that one's
an
pretty
or an
sick.
artifact, and it draws a card. So
Yeah, Scroll Shift's great. Being able to, and what a lot of people don't know too is that when you flicker an aura or an enchantment, it comes in and it just enters on something. It doesn't if you, uh, it's like on
it's not
Abdel.
targeting. You can
Yeah,
get
it's not
around
targeting.
hexproof,
Yeah,
all that stuff.
it's gonna
Yep,
come
it's
in on
wild.
something, particularly auras. So that's pretty nice. The draw card is great too. We have a lot of things we want to flicker, um,
Yep.
and so that seems good. Um, okay, Battle Screech definitely. Triplicate Spirits definitely. Sens Enlistment definitely. So all those are good.
Recruit the Worthy. I'm a huge fan of Recruit the Worthy. It gets expensive.
It does.
I
I've
run
added
it
that
in
one in for
my
sure though.
Okay, I run it in my OG list because it's just a cheap spell that
Yeah,
gives you something, and I think it's great. But this might be a deck for it.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay, so we're at 67 cards. We have no
And it's an
lands.
instant. Recruit the Worthy is an instant. Like that's
It's
good.
really
That's real
good.
good.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
real good. What I'm sensing here is that some of our generically good stuff may need to tone back a little bit, because we have a lot of cards we still need to add. Like we don't have enough removal in here yet. So we've got Pestilence and Crypt Rats.
Yeah, we're
Are
at 67 cards with 0 lands.
yeah. So we're gonna be like at 150 cards by the time we get to the end of this here, which is
Yeah.
kind of it's par for the course on these streams here. But of course, like a lot of the juice of what we're doing here is about the process of selecting what are the best cards for the deck. So
And Scroll Shift also hits Pestilence if they target it.
it
So
does, yeah, it does.
with their one enchantment removal in their deck.
Yeah, yeah. No, it's
So
good. It's really good. And Ephemerate.
Ephemerate's yeah.
Yep, busted.
Busto.
Yeah, we want the one that draws and hits other things. We want the one that does it twice, and we want the Pegasus Guardian. All of those are good. Those are pretty premium. I think we don't even necessarily
Solid.
need to do more than that.
No, I think that's great.
Yeah. Flicker Pestilence in response to its trigger. Sure. Yeah.
Sure,
Yeah,
why not?
that's another thing you can do, definitely. There's a part of me that thinks that the Mortician Beetle, Gixian Infiltrator might be a bit win more.
I can see that.
Like
You can make that argument. For sure.
yeah, let's toss these into the sideboard for now. Crypt Rats is gonna go under Sweepers. Where's Sweepers? Where's it at? Where is she? Okay, there we go. So we got Crypt Rats. We've got Doomed Traveler. I think these 1-mana 1/1s that like we can play out early and get the Denethor thing going. I'm realizing too, Denethor is like very self-perpetuating. You don't need a lot of like useless chaff in your deck. You just need
No,
like
he makes the creature that
yeah.
like he can make a token and then sacrifice it to make another token.
Yeah, absolutely. So here, one second, let me check the chat. Let's see, cool. And there we go.
Flicker Pestilence in response to its trigger. Yeah, right. Crazy. Scroll Shift is awesome.
Yeah, very strong.
And we're not in this type of deck, but I love running Scroll Shift alongside Flicker of Fate. Like you just, and that's what I'm saying with Omen of the Sun. I like running it in decks where I'm running Flicker of Fate. Like
Yeah.
flickering Omen of the Sun is it's just funny and it's powerful.
Yeah, it's
and...
good. It's just good.
Yeah.
Faceless Butcher is another one. This goes, when you're in white and black, then you get Alabaster, Host, Intercessor, and Faceless Butcher, both
Hmm.
of which are basically, kill target commander because only a psychopath leaves their commander under a card like this. Um, and
Right.
so I think 80-90% of the time it's just hard removal on a commander, and they're great hits off of Throne of the Dead 3. And in this deck we can actually do some spicy stuff with Faceless Butcher and Denethor. So and we can do stuff with flickers too. If you
Hmm.
flicker Faceless Butcher, you just take out people's commander. So I think that one's really good. Other cards that we're going to want to are just going to be Go for the Throat. We're going to want
Oh yeah, hands down.
Victim of Night. We're going to want Grasp of Darkness. We're going to want Defile. I don't know.
Mm, I'm iffy on Defile. If you can't, I like Defile when you can have 3 to 4 swamps by turn
Yeah.
5.
And we have a lot of ways to find swamps with the cyclers, so it actually seems pretty good here. Defile
That's
usually
true.
is a
That's true.
bolt, and then it scales higher, but it depends on our mana base, so we'll come back to that. What's up, David?
Okay.
Good to see you. Don't know that I've seen you in the chat before. Welcome to the stream. Hope you're having a great day. Snuff Out.
Hey, what's
Yep.
up, David? Yeah, Snuff Out, obviously great.
That's
I just had one in mind that I was thinking about, and I totally forgot it. Oh, this is my.
Was it Oubliette?
Well, I did think about that about 3 minutes ago. No, this is playing into more of my jank side and possibly win more side. But what about Harsh Sustenance?
Ooh, Harsh Sustenance is
It's
this
one
is
one black white instant, and it deals X damage to target creature or player, and you gain X life, where X is the number of creatures
Yeah.
you control.
Yeah, this is a great card. Harsh Sustenance in some ways is kind of like
I mean,
the
it's
other
kind of a
massive
fireball in
raid.
this deck.
It's a better massive raid, and
Sure.
what that tends to read is I sweep your board, and in response you kill them with Harsh Sustenance, and you counter their sweeper.
Right. Right.
Yeah, so I think Harsh Sustenance is great. I think Unmake could be good here too.
Unmake. Yeah. Definitely.
Although because we're in black, like Unmake's kind of funny because it's like murder, but we have black, so we have good removal already,
Right.
and it just doesn't,
Yeah, it's nice that it exiles, but
yeah.
are we gonna
and its
make that
pips are
stretch
really
for it, right?
flexible too.
Sure.
Although you have to pay black and white mana into it, so there is that. Go for the Throat for removal, Grasp of Darkness for removal. Okay, and then Beckon Apparition, because we currently have Rotten Reunion, I don't think we necessarily need this.
I'm fine with
Um,
that. I always end up cutting it from decks because it never
Yeah,
does what I think it's gonna do.
yeah. I think that the Girder Goons just turning on Denethor for 4 mana on curve. You go Denethor, turn 4, Girder Goons, get the engine going. Because all you need is one creature, and then Denethor starts to do the thing, right? And this
Yep.
turns it on in a way that's really special. So I like that a lot. So I think that one does go in here. And then we've got all of these other ones like Exquisite Huntmaster. How many ways do we have to discard things? We have not a lot.
Not a
So,
whole ton.
like something like Huntmaster, we have a way to put it into the graveyard, but we have to cast it and then do that, right?
Right.
Um, And we have sweepers. I think 2 sweepers is probably fine for this deck,
Well, yeah, we got 2 sweepers, and one of them can be reanimated. So
and they can be tutored for.
right.
Yeah,
Perfect.
no, that's plenty good. Protector of Gondor, Daybreak Squad, and Clarion Cathars.
Mm-hmm.
Oh wait. What about wait. Scion. So it's what is it? O Scion or O? What's the other one? There's Scions and
Spawn.
Spawn.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was looking at those earlier when we were scrolling Scryfall.
These seem superb.
I mean, the token works with the bat. It'll give you mana, it gives you a blocker, it gives you a body that you can sack.
So it's really just
I
carry
mean,
and
they're not
Peter.
terrible.
I mean, Dread Drone's pretty bad. 4/1. If it was a 1/4, I'd actually be much more interested.
Yeah,
and if they were,
I've always found more success with the ones that make the mana dorks, the token dorks.
Yeah.
If you're in a heavy aristocrats style. Like, granted, the token can be sacrificed to Denethor, et cetera, but
Yeah, I think Carrier Thrall is probably the one that I'm most excited about here.
sure,
We could do
that's fair.
Keldor Undead. It's a very
Classic. We're digging deep. I
oh,
love it.
dude, Keldor Undead is like one of my pet cards. And it's it's
Classic
cheap.
art. Like, come
Yeah,
on.
classic art. It regenerates. It's a 3/1. What's up, Gator? How you doing, baby? This one's also turning on Denethor, right?
Hey,
So
Gator, what's up? Yeah. 1 mana, 3/1 comes into play. Sacrifice a creature. Like, that's not terrible.
yeah, I mean, in some ways I almost prefer that to Carrion Feeder because you really only need one sacrifice, right? And then Denethor gets the thing going because he has a sacrifice.
Yeah,
Um,
and you're not regenerating Carrion Feeder after you sacrificed 4 creatures to it. Like,
no,
so
K-Dead's pretty damn good. There's another one.
how
Mhm.
I don't know if we've gotten to this section of the deck. How interested or concerned are we about keeping Denethor alive, like protection?
Yeah, I think the flickers are the big one.
I think the flickers. Okay.
But I also don't think so. A little bit of game theory here. I don't think Denethor is ever going to be like a
A
significant
threat?
target for removal.
I don't think so either. That's what
Yeah,
I'm struggling with
it's
because, like, I was thinking about Blessing of Leeches because that's basically just
mm-hmm,
free.
mm-hmm.
But do we care enough? Like, is Denethor gonna be a threat?
Carry on. I'm dying.
Blessing of Leeches is just that good. He choked out on it. But no,
Yep,
I was
that's
just
right.
thinking about that because it's 0 mana to regenerate him. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose a life, but who cares? We're gaining probably at least a life every turn, if not, making creatures drawing cards, gaining life every single turn. So that 0 mana to regenerate him is absolutely nothing.
Yeah, I think Blessing of Leeches is actually pretty close to staple because
Okay,
black has such good life gain. And in white, we have lots of good life gain. This deck has good life gain. It's instant speed. It's permanent. It regenerates every time. The life loss literally doesn't matter. The question is, what are we putting it on? And there's actually a lot of things we can put it on. Like you could put it on a Gloomfang Mauler. You could put it on a Twisted, like on a Troll of Khazad-dûm. You could put
yeah.
it on
Any of your
Alabaster
big
Host
beaters,
Intercessor.
sure.
Yeah, and just
Are you
Denethor,
are you a
right?
big flyer? Yeah.
Yeah, yep. So I think it's quite good. The question is, do we have the slots for it? So let's
Right. It is 3 mana, but
yeah. Now in this deck, is reanimation just better than recovery?
that's what I was wondering
So
too.
wander in death, like you pay one more and you get one creature and you just put it into play. But generally speaking, like one creature is plenty. So we could cut like wander in death because
Sure.
reaping the graves is still super heavy here and really good. Like reaping the graves in this deck is on like on a non-zero number of times is going to be like Storm 5 very easily. Like you could see in a combo turn, say somebody tries to
Oh
combo
my
off, they
God,
don't
forget about it.
win,
Yeah.
and you just go Storm 6, like get 5 creatures back, like you know, it's gonna do a lot of work.
Sure.
So I like that.
And two, it'll be sneaky too. Like if you got player one trying to combo off, cast, getting a big storm count up there, and it's their combo involves their graveyard. Player two is going to be like, well, I'm going to relic everybody's graveyard. You're like, let me reaping the graves first, and they're like, what? Where'd
Get
that
it
come
all
from?
back.
Like, yeah,
Yeah, very good, very good. Okay, I think we're getting closer. These right here are kind of iffy. We're not sure about them just yet. I like that. What I like about them is that we're getting a 3/3, and then it's giving us a body that we want to sacrifice. They're better than the ones that make 2/2/2s, even if they come with like a keyword, because
sure,
we
yep,
don't really want to sacrifice half of a 4 mana card. Well, let's see. My words aren't coming out right, but it's like I would rather keep the 3/3 and lose the 1/1 to enable Denethor than I would than I would like sack a 2/2 that I made 2 of for 4, I guess. It
sure.
leaves us with a better body, right?
hmm
So these seem good. You can also flicker them. It's not amazing to flicker, but is there anything else? We have like Escape. We have like the Tizarus Charger. We have Underworld Charger. Um, anything with retrade. So this is another thing. If somebody could make a tag that was like function castable from the graveyard or something like that, because
Right.
it's so hard to, I don't know, it's like hard to find everything.
Let's see. We don't have a. That's not a creature. Yeah, we have Tizarus
Oh,
Charger.
I love Marshall and Cry so much.
I do too. Underworld
Oh,
Charger. That's really it.
Strands.
We have one escape card in white, and it is Sentinel's Eyes.
Yep.
So nothing there. But yeah, we have Underworld Charger, Tizarus Charger, Mogus's Favor, which is can be removal if you want, but
Yeah.
I don't like it here.
You know, it's kind of interesting. We started out talking about Gem Palm Avenger. And the
Mhm.
funny thing is that I actually don't think we're going to have a lot of soldiers, right? It's going to be more of this thing that we get like one or two of them.
Right. How exciting was that card when we first started talking about this deck, and now it's like, cool. I don't think we need it.
Yeah, yeah, and this is a Ship of Theseus problem, and these are something I encounter a lot in my live streams, which is that you start building a deck and you're accruing all these cards, and you're thinking about all these cool things, and then you get to the point where you start cutting cards, and you're like, this isn't the same deck anymore, right? And Gem Palm Avenger being like a 3-mana draw one that's like giving us +1 and +1 and first strike, that's just not going to be good enough. Because like
I don't think we're going to go wide enough to make that worth it.
Yeah, I agree. As good as Trailblazer's Torch is, this one might not end up making the cut just for the sake of like all the things that we actually need to have.
Oh, sure. I can see that. Totally see that.
And we do need more removal, I think. We currently have 4, 13, 14, 15. Feels a little scant. Like maybe 2 more removal spells. Something like, so function, removal, type instant, CMC equals less than or equal to 2. Anoint with Affliction's pretty good. Yeah, Defile does seem like it's probably going to be pretty good. Yeah. Doomblade hits a lot of things right now.
Echoing Decay is probably okay in this meta.
Yeah. Yep. Echoing Decay is crucial for sure. Oh, Final Payment. 2 mana.
Payment. I love that card.
This is great. This like helps turn on Denethor. This is like actively good. Paying 5 is actually something we could do as well. It's a lot.
Sure. But, completely feasible.
Yep, totally. Hobbit Sting. Huh. Hobbit Sting. This is a card I really like in mono white decks because it's giving us a really like a pretty damn good removal spell that works well with what white likes to do. But we are in black, so the question is this like splashable instant speed kill spell going to be better than something that just says destroy?
Right. That's a very good question. I don't think so.
I agree.
I love it though. It is a very cool card.
Oh, we have Mirrodin Avenged and You're Already Dead. That's kind of interesting with the 1/1s, right? Like if they block something.
If they block, bam, draw a card, kill you.
Yeah. That's something we could check out. Pack Disdain, if we were going heavier into humans, would be good here. Let's see, what else do we have? Oh, we could totally afford to play Ashes to Ashes in this deck too.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, that card's heavy as fuck.
Yeah, because 5 life to us is like
nothing.
7 life to everybody else.
Yeah, totally. Terror. Mizu says, I think that's a little too narrow. Which one do you think is a little too narrow? Let us know what you think. Oh,
yeah.
We also have, oh boy, these ones are really good here. Vicious Offering and Final Payment.
Yeah, what about like sack effects like Innocent Blood and...
Yep. Oh, Innocent Blood should be in the deck too, right?
I mean, I know they're edicts, but...
Yeah, but I think...
I love casting it early when the board has creatures and I don't. I'm like, here we go. Get rid of what you have going on there.
Yeah.
Because I don't have any yet.
Totally. And we actually need Final Payment in here too. Because like this deck, we actively want to take that 1/1 and enough Final Payment. This is CMC equals 2, type instant, O, sack, O, -2/-2. It's the new one that's -6/-6 if you sack an artifact or a creature. Final Flourish. Like these ones are actively doing
Yep.
something that we really want done, which is like we want to lose that creature so that we can, so that we can get another creature, right?
Yeah, sure.
So it's not actually costing us something really. It's like enabling us to get it back.
Right, the spell is just 2 mana, target creature gets -6/-6.
Yep. And these cards also act as protection against like Oubliette and other auras because you go and sack your commander and kill something of theirs, and then it doesn't die to the aura. It doesn't get locked down.
With our sack effects or sack outlets, we should not have to worry about Denethor getting exiled.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about Denethor being a target really at all. Like it's a 0/4, it's a 2/4 for one thing in black, which means it's not going to die to a lot of things. Like it's not going to die to Bolt, it's not going to die to Sweepers, it's not going to die to Doomblade, not going to die to Executioner's Capsule. And really, like in what world does somebody use an Executioner's Capsule on this deck? Like you know, like we are like the grindy control mid-rangey thing. So
like I can't just I can't see someone sitting at the table going, I'm gonna waste this cast or waste this go for the throat on Denethor.
No, it's very hard to imagine. And I've got Terror as an option as well. That's like kind of splashable.
Sure.
You know, we could look at. We're a little overloaded now on removal. I think we can go down on this number.
Probably, yeah.
Oh, and Echoing Decay. Yeah, Echoing Decay is really important in this meta right now. This is another sweeper. It hits so many important things right now. While also -2/-2 hits most combo creatures. So
100%.
Harsh Sustenance. So I like this card. I like
talking about removal, do we want the Bone Shards, Bone Splinters effects as opposed to like traditional removal?
Not a fan of the fact that they're sorcery speed. That's not like a death knell for them. Bone Shards allows you to discard, which could be relevant for reanimation, where you go like Bone Shard, discard your reanimation creature, reanimate it.
Yep.
But you could also just put that creature into the graveyard and get something for it, right? So it feels kind of like weird in that way. Terror probably doesn't make the cut here, although can't be regenerated is something.
I'm not like married to him. I just think that's interesting since we're sort of on the sack plan anyway.
The Final Flourish and the Vicious Offering is interesting too, because if we do use these in instant speed, we actually don't get the token, right? Because it's on our opponent's turn.
Ah, that is a good point. That's a good catch. Very good catch. Yep.
I think that makes them not that great here. Mizu says Bone Shards does help put the Encore creatures into the yard. Yeah, so if we were playing Encore, that would definitely be the case. Although I think there's really only 2. We could play Eyeblight Color, or no, Eyeblight Assassin or something. It's you know what I mean. That one is an option, but I think that the whole stuff of like needing to put the thing into the graveyard is a little bit of an ask, given the fact that we don't have any discard really. We have enough fodder for Denethor. Yeah, I think we do.
Yeah, I agree.
We still have Omen of the Sun here too. There's a part of me that's I like the card
I'd be fine with. I love the card, but I'd be fine with it not in this deck.
Yeah.
I just don't. I love the whole Omen cycle. I just don't know.
Great.
I like to abuse them as much as possible, and I just don't see that in this deck. Like I don't even know if I would waste a Scroll Shift on an Omen of the Sun.
Right. We've got better targets for it.
Right.
Misa says, I don't think we're too out on resources if we flourish on somebody else's turn. Yeah, that's true. And Final Flourish is really good in part, and honestly, Vicious Offering too. But Final Flourish more so because you can sack artifacts that like -2/-2 kills Gut, it kills Dargo, it kills basically every creature. -6/-6 is so big.
It's huge.
So it's gigantic. Very flexible. So it's kind of like a 2-mana, it's a Terminate. So there's that. Mizu says Denethor supplies his own fodder as well as everything else. Yeah, the question is just how do we turn it on? And I think that the curving out of some 2-drop that makes bodies or a 1-drop into Denethor, and we don't even have rocks in here yet. So I don't even know.
Yeah, we don't have any rocks.
maybe we're not a rocks deck. That could be it. Maybe
it
we're.
Could be.
I mean, it makes the.
And that's what I was saying.
I don't
remember when it was. I was saying that earlier. Like, are we the deck that plays a lot of one drops early that will pay off later with replacing themselves or creating treasure tokens when they die or what have you? Or are we a mana rocks deck to where turns 1 or 2 through 4 are nothing but mana rocks?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just building that mana base for the late game.
Yeah.
You can't be both. Like I've tried to build Orzhov decks that are kind of both, and it does not work very
Yeah,
well.
no, there's always tension between like in these creature decks, like very creature heavy decks, that you end up wanting, for ramp, or you end up wanting for you like there's competition there. Like Rilsa is a great example where Rilsa had like this tension between basically between like having rocks and having more threats. And so I
Yep.
ended up just cutting the rocks and playing a decent number of lands. And I think that like if we played like
Sure.
36 lands or something like that, like I think we'll be perfectly
Yeah,
fine on
I've been
mana.
on 36 for a long time now,
Okay.
and I love it.
Yeah,
Yep.
36 feels
It's
good to you.
good place to be.
Okay.
Now, not for nothing, too, Denethor's sacrifice ability is repeatable. In those late games, we've got 8 mana just sitting there doing nothing.
You fireball the table, you know?
Right.
Yeah, I mean,
Exactly.
it's definitely like a thing going on there for sure. Okay. I wonder with Viscera Seer too, like Viscera Seer and Carrion Feeder, Keljoran Dead, whether those would just be better as tokens, token makers, like body makers, and then Denethor does the sacking. Like maybe we don't
That
need,
is interesting.
right? Because like there's that.
I'm
There's,
okay with no Viscera Seer. Like,
yeah,
I'm okay with
and
that.
I'm okay with no feeder. I'm
Sure.
also okay with no K-Dead. I think the K-Dead is really good, um, but like I could go either way because we do need to make slots. So let's just go fast and loose with it. We'll send these to the sideboard as cards that we're going to keep in mind. But I think we want
Yeah.
more 2-mana cards and make bodies so that we can get Denethor running because Denethor needs to.
Exactly.
We want to go like a 1-mana card that we can sacrifice, a 2-mana card that we can sacrifice of some sort, and then Denethor starts doing the thing because we're not super. Like even Carrion Feeder not blocking is kind of a big deal.
That is a
'cause
big deal.
we're not
We
an
are a
aggressive
slow deck.
very slow.
Right.
Yeah. A
No, I
seer does
love
help with
like
filtering. Yeah.
Viscera Seer, Carrion Feeder. I love those in
Yeah.
60 card Orzhov decks, reanimator decks or just control decks. But in PDH, I love those more in decks where I'm going to steal your creatures.
Yeah.
Like I want to
Yeah.
sacrifice your stuff, not my stuff.
Yep, that's right. Crawling Chorus. I forgot about this one. This is another Doom Traveler. The token can't block, which sucks, but we're just gonna eat it. We're just gonna eat those tokens. Garrison
Yeah, it's going to be
Cat.
gone soon anyway.
It's another
Yep.
one. The Nested Shambler. Jesus.
Uh,
Wow.
I think that's I love Nested Shambler, but my only that's recency bias because I play it in Minthara so often, and that it just makes like 5/1 squirrels out of nowhere.
It's nuts.
Like,
Yeah. There's worlds
puts
where
30
it
power
hits
on the board.
a lot of stuff. I think in this deck, it's probably just makes a 1/1 most
Yeah,
of the time.
exactly.
But that's
Yep.
like perfectly fine. Like having a lot of these 1-drops to do this is actually like pretty good.
Sure.
And
I think
with,
Shambling Gas should go in here. Gives one, -1/-1, makes a treasure token.
yeah, we could do
What have
that
you.
too.
Can fix your mana.
Um,
Not sold on it necessarily because the creature tokens are better than a treasure token.
that's right. Yeah.
But I do like
Are there any other things that sack to make treasures? Like every turn? Like what are the sacrifice? Let's do sacrifice O creature
Undercity
or
Scrounger.
O artifact. Yeah, like Scrounger I think definitely needs to be there. Let's just see what we get when we do this. I know this is a big search, 115 results. Fuck. Benelish Sleeper. Wow.
Sleeper. Wow, that's coming out of nowhere. I love it.
Wow. That's really
There's
good.
Bodyguard.
Bodyguard. Oh, God. Bodyguard's also really good in this deck, too.
So good.
Wow, it sacrifices itself. So you actually, like, I mean, this is just such a generically good white card. It's, like, hard to pass up on, but I don't know.
How do you feel about, well, 2 different cards, actually. First, how do you feel about Prismatic Strands?
Prismatic Strands
in this deck specifically.
Yeah, I think Prismatic Strands is great in like almost any deck that you can play it in. I don't know that fogs, like the best use of the fog is going to be if somebody's killing us with commander damage, or something along those lines, right? It does stop banishing that combo.
So does Stave Off, yeah.
Oh, Stave
Forgot.
Off is also another one that does that too. But Prismatic Strands being basically turning off the damage is pretty sick.
Yeah.
And I think that's good. It's also, you get two uses of it. Seems pretty generically good. We forgot about Cartel Aristocrat, by the way.
Oh, damn, we
Like,
certainly did.
this one is a different story. Like, this card is unblockable. Um,
That is true.
we don't even have Guardian of the Guild Pact in the deck either. Jesus. There's so
We didn't
many
put that
good
in?
cards.
I know we talked
No.
about it earlier, but
God, Cathar Commando too sacks itself.
gotta have Cathar Commander.
God, Orzhov is packed with good shit. Like, this is such a
Yeah,
crazy.
we gotta have Cathar Commando. That
Yeah.
like that just nukes your Candlekeep Sages and
Yep.
your Oubliettes and your whatever problematic shit you're dealing with.
Dude, Ecstatic Awakener. Play this out turn 1. You do the turn 3 Denethor, turn 4. I guess you'd have to have some fodder in play to do that, right? Because this probably isn't good enough, but we'll sideboard for that one. God, Gibbering Barricade too.
Yeah, gibbering. That's
Holy
hilarious.
Dude, it's crazy how many good cards there are for this. This is a
there's
very
one,
deep
too.
pool of good cards.
Yeah.
Oh, Lampad. I guess this is like a duplicate effect of Denethor. It's just cheaper, so I don't think that's probably not good enough. Mold Folk is good, but again, we have that on our commander. Mokrit Behemoth is another one, just like 7/6 for 5 with Menace. It's so heavy. He's such a big boy.
He is a big boy.
It's like this card like doesn't die to very many things.
And actually, yeah, that's a
You
good
reanimate
point,
it
Mizu.
too?
Like, if you wanted to keep more sacrifice outlets in the deck, I would rather have Lampad than Viscera Seer.
Yeah,
Viscera Serum.
yeah, me too. But then again, like the effects are different, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Geez, the deeper you go into this, like the wilder it gets.
I know, right?
This is like there's not enough Orzhov out there, and this like kind of suggests to me that like, what if you just did like Quasar and you just built around Orzhov and you didn't have blue in your deck?
Sure.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's like, oh, even Spark Reaper is pretty good here too.
Even like Lazotep Reaver, like
Yeah, Lazotep. Oh, Lazotep Reaver should be in here, for sure, as food.
yeah.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Westfold Rider is another one. This is the second copy of Cathar Commando, where it's a 2-mana 3/1. You can sack it to destroy an artifact or enchantment, but you can only do it as a sorcery.
Sure.
So this is going to be like a Dispel in a lot of cases. That's sorcery speed, but it doesn't take any mana, and it sacks itself. So it's another way to like, do the Denethor thing.
Yep.
Now we're up to 80 cards. Let's see here. Maybe Blood Fountain. Maybe we don't need Blood Fountain. Maybe Reaping the Graves, Breath of Life, False Defeat, Late to Dinner, Resurrection is good enough. Because like Reaping the Graves is so much more than the other ones. Blood Fountain is cheap, and it does allow us to discard cards. So instead of getting a land, for example, we could always just get another card off of the cycling, stuff.
Right.
We could also, I think Bloodseeker and Suture Priest feel like really important cards in the meta right now, and the fact that we get to run both feels important.
Yeah, that's huge. I
Yeah.
like it.
Do we need Strands?
That's what I was asking. I'm not totally convinced that we do. It's at this point, I don't know if I play it in most white decks because it's good or just out of habit.
Yeah, that's a really astute point. Like, are we playing it just because it's a good white card? But like, on an considering like what the deck does, is this actually crucial?
Right.
And I'm not certain that it is. Like, our main thing when we gain life is that we die to commander damage, but all of our kill spells are like pretty good at tagging stuff. The only thing I see is Grasp of Darkness doesn't hit Dargo, and that's a little bit concerning. So maybe we do want, final payment instead. Because what we're seeing here is that all of these cards are pretty unconditional, except for like, in terms of killing big commanders, right?
Right.
And Echoing Decay being kind of like doing double duty. We could just leave it at 11 removal spells. That's the other thing. Harsh Sustenance is another one. I don't know that the life gain matters. I don't know that the Fireball matters. It is
Yeah, I'm not
probably
convinced
it's
it
probably a
does either.
murder, right?
Yeah,
So let's cut that one for now. And then what are
sure.
the other removal spells
No
we
problem.
have?
No problem at all.
We have the You Are Already Dead and the Mirrodin Avenged. These do seem like they would do work. Right? Like they block it and then we just do this. It's not going to kill combo creatures, which is concerning. What are some of the removal spells that we've cut here? Final Flourish. We could also just play Terror. Terror's perfectly fine. Non-artifact, non-black. Artifact things that we want to kill are what? Like not many. Like Go for the Throat's really good because of that, right? Even Tormod's
not Tormod.
You're thinking of
Armix.
Armix. Doesn't kill Armix. We have a lot of other ways to kill Armix, and honestly,
Yeah,
Armix isn't our problem. Like,
no, it's
we
not.
don't care about Armix.
See, you notice I had to dig deep for an answer to that question.
Yeah,
So
yeah. I think
probably not a
11
big
removal
deal.
spells based on the math that I talked about with Homeboy Bodarn last night. I think this is good. And we have a lot of draw spells. These are like really efficient draw spells. So, okay. What was the Lazotep Reaver, right? But there's other ones too. There's like Doomed Dissenter actually leaves you behind. Oh no, we don't want Doomed Dissenter. The cards where you sacrifice it and then you get something worse are less good. Like we would almost want like Butcher Ghoul or something, right?
Like a persist.
Yeah. Persist would be one. Undying would be one. Like the Beskier Shieldmate kind of a thing, except that we want the opposite, right? We want we want to be left with a better creature in the end. Musa says there's that new card from Loader that amasses orcs. Oh yeah, we should look at that for sure. Oh, I really want to find a home for Death Knell Berserker. This card is like,
I love that card.
Potentially 4 power, over 2 mana.
All right, we have 8 cards at common in Orzhov that amass.
Oh, Doom Dissenter is actually pretty good because it's a human. It's a 1/1 that becomes a 2/2. I like that. Gather the Townsfolk, probably good here too. Anything?
Like, what do you feel about like Mordor Muster? It's just you draw a card, you lose a life, and you amass 1 for 2 mana. Yeah, 2 mana. It's not great.
It's not bad.
It's not bad though. Are we hurting?
That's the question.
For card
Are we
draw?
hurting
Like,
for it? Yeah, a lot of the balance of like cards in this deck is going to be a question of testing.
Yeah, we have 15 card draw spells. A few of those spells draw 2 or 3 at a time.
Right.
Plus the Monarch, plus the Initiative. Like, okay.
Are we happy cutting Rottide Garganta for Benelish Sleeper, even though Benelish Sleeper can't be flipped off of Throne as an Edict? It's a lot cheaper.
Yeah, Gargantua is expensive.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive. I think we go Sleeper instead. Yeah.
And it's double black. Like, yeah. Yeah, because Sleeper is nice because you don't have to play, pay the colors for it if you don't.
Yes.
If you don't want to.
And you also can just have a 2/2 or a 3/2, 3/1 for 2, which is pretty good. Is Triplicate Spirits going to be good here? I'm a little concerned about that Convoke cost because I don't see us actually going incredibly wide.
Yeah, I don't actually mind the Convoke, but yeah, I think you're always going to pay some amount of mana for that card, and where it shines is when you pay nothing for it.
Oh, geez. There's a whole class of cards that Mizu just reminded me of. Haunt of the Dead Marshes, Sanitarium Skeleton, Persistent Specimen.
See,
like
that's
Clay
just sacrifice
Revenant.
fodder for days.
Yeah.
For days.
Those are, I think at a baseline, Haunt of the Dead Marshes being a 1 mana 1/1 that scries 1. We have a legendary commander. It's very flavorful. And it comes back every turn. So this is like another engine, right? And in fact, all of those 1 mana, creatures that come back, they're all engines.
Yeah.
Right? Like a little bit spendy if you have to bring them back to hand. So maybe it's just Persistent Specimen and Dead Marshes.
Sure. And I think those two are perfect. I don't think you want too many of those effects.
And those are better than something like Gather the Townsfolk.
Yeah.
Um,
And Haunt of the Dead Marshes is a nightmare elf. Like, come on,
it's
that's
so
awesome.
cool. It's very flavorful. It's like
Yeah.
this is an elf who died fighting alongside Denethor's ancestors.
Right.
Um, you know, it's very cool. It's very cool. Don't ever say
Like
that Papa don't like his flavor. I love Lord of the
I
Rings, so
I would be okay with swapping Haunt of the Dead Marshes for Crawling Chorus. Honestly.
yeah. The thing I'm looking at right now is like Carrier Thrall is good, but I'm actually seeing we've got so many of these good one drops here that
Hmm.
like why play a two drop if we can play a one drop, right? Like Garrison
Right.
Cat or something like that. Like why not
Sure.
just like even raise the alarm? Sure, it makes two bodies on 2 mana, but like what about two bodies on 1 mana, right? So let's cut raise the alarm. Um, what about Girder Goons? This is feeling a little expensive now.
It is expensive. I mean, it's 4. It's fine. Creates a tapped creature.
It's drawing a
I don't
card. It's a
know.
hasty 4/4 for 4. I think we can sideline that one for now.
I think we can sideline it, but yeah, it is nice that it has the blitz. Obviously,
Yeah.
that might come in handy.
Okay. Um, the so we're down to 78. So we're getting there. We still have a lot of cards to cut, and we have a lot of these cards. Actually, let's get rid of this. The 4 mana 3/3s that make 1/1s. I think these aren't going to make the cut. I think we've got 1/1s for one that do that. Right? Like we don't care so much about the 3/3. The 3/3 is good, but like Doomed Dissenter also in that class of cards. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 1/1s for one that can be sacked for bodies. And that's
Yep.
basically, we're going to get one of them in our opening hand probably
Yep.
most of the time, like
More than
80% of the time.
likely. Yep.
So Doomed Dissenter, could still be good. What Cartel Aristocrat? So we went off of Carrion Feeder, we went off of Viscera Seer, and then I started to think about Cartel Aristocrat. But Cartel Aristocrat's like a different ball game. Like this thing is unblockable, doesn't die, free sack outlet.
It is a
Um,
free sack outlet. Correct.
would we prefer scrying? I don't know. Um, oh man, we don't even have like O-ring or anything in here either. Oh
No,
shit.
we got nothing.
Oh
We are just big creatures.
yeah, yeah. Oblivion Ring is going to be important. If killing commanders is our thing, most of the time they're not going to have haste. So we could actually just play Journey to Nowhere too, and then we have a way to flicker it, which is pretty good,
Yeah,
especially
sure.
for commanders. Because
Yep.
commanders are the problem. Like we're not going to die to like gut. Um, so like we could cut Terror for that,
Right.
um, and then Journey. I think Journey probably pretty good here. Oh, that's not a Demir House Guard. That is a removal. There we go. So I think those two are great. And we don't have like, I guess O-Ring does target enchantments.
Hmm. Which
So
is nice.
it's good, yeah. I think having like two cards that do that in the deck is good. So there's a part of me that wants to have Cathar Commando. Um,
Yeah, I think at this point we could probably just straight up cut harsh sustenance.
yeah. Oh, it's out. It's out.
Oh, is it? Okay.
I'll refresh here, make sure everything is good on your end
Oh, there we
too.
go. I hadn't refreshed either.
Got it. Cool, cool.
Cool.
So what else? Where did Pestilence go? Oh, sweepers. Weird. Okay.
Untagged enchantments. That's where I have it.
So here's another question: how many ways do we have to cause our own things to die? And the answer is a lot.
A
Um,
lot.
yeah, like Pestilence, Crypt Rats. We have
A handful of sack outlets.
Denethor. We have
Denethor itself.
We have all the draw sack. We have a couple of. We don't have any. We have Final Payment.
Deadly Dispute, Village Rights, Final Payment.
So maybe the Cartel
Reckoner's
Aristocrats
Bargain.
not actually. Oh fuck, we don't have Guardian. Yeah, Guardian of the Guild Pact is going to be very good here. The curve is pretty chonky for a deck that doesn't have rocks.
It really is.
It's a little
It
concerning.
certainly is.
So
Yeah.
Cartel Aristocrat's not going to find a home here. Doom Dissenter, don't need it. Westfold Rider is just another Cathar, and we've already got one. Exquisite Huntmaster is cool, but we don't have good ways to discard it. And Indoctrination Attendant, we have lots of good ETBs, but it's also, and it makes another body. But like, are we on that game plan of like cast Indoctrination Attendant, return Goliath Paladin, next turn recast Goliath Paladin?
Right.
I don't know. Seems like not.
Just seems like a
Um,
lot of work.
Seems like a lot of work. Yeah, I find myself saying that often. Prismatic Strands, I think, can go. Let's get real on that one. I think your
Okay.
intuition is speaking to you on that one. Speaking to me too.
Yeah.
Um, Bone Picker, not necessary technically.
Yeah, it's nice. I don't know if it's a staple in this deck, but it is nice.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet to be able to go like Fleshback Marauder into Bone Picker for 4 mana.
Yeah.
it's
Uh-huh.
it's like this card is always on in this deck. It won't be cast early though, so that's another way to look at it. Is like this isn't a turn one play. Bone Picker almost never is, but and the Death Touch is nice, but I think we can let's just get real on that one. Mirkwood Bat seems like it's going to be very good. We could cut Recruit the Worthy, although I like the fact that it's a 1 mana play on turn one.
Yeah. With the only problem I see there, and this is from experience playing very heavy mana intensive Orzhov decks, is it's hard to get to a point where you can buy back
Yeah,
Recruit the Worthy.
yeah, like where you actively want to do that. Like
Yeah,
the cases where Recruit the Worthy is really good is in a deck that doesn't draw a lot of cards because then it's like card advantage, right? But in this deck we draw
exactly.
so many cards. It's like, oh shit, we don't even have Siphon Mind in here
So
right
if
now.
we, if
Jesus.
you want to, yeah, oh, that's true. If you want to keep Recruit the Worthy, I'd rather just have a one drop 1/1 that dies into a 1/1.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
Right.
Like,
These are so much more efficient.
yeah,
Um, I think Carrier Thrall gets a nod because the Scion sacks itself to give us mana.
sure,
Um,
that's fair.
so there is that. Blood Fountain could probably go. Like, I think the reanimation package could be narrowed down to just Reaping the Graves and the reanimation. We're down to 68. We're getting there, chat. We're getting there. Yeah, we have a ton of card advantage, and it's really efficient.
Yeah, it
Um,
really is.
yeah. Scroll Shift is a great card. I'm not super certain that our stuff is going to get targeted all that often, and it's really
Yeah,
cool that it flickers
I'm not
permanence.
really either, and we don't
But
have a ton of ETB effects.
we
Like
have,
we have some, but
yeah, we have like,
we have our edicts, I guess.
yeah, Scroll Shift is starting to look a little weird. It's like 3 mana, and the fact that
Yeah,
it draws a card isn't relevant anymore because we we have lots of ways to draw cards. Um,
we do have a lot.
lot of
That
card
is for
advantage in
sure.
this deck. I mean, it's kind of funny. It's actually not a huge number now that I'm looking at it, but like all of them are like really cheap draw twos, and we have like
Yeah,
recursive stuff with the Monarch and the Initiative. Um,
exactly.
Now we're down to 67, so we're actually getting pretty close here. Um, our edicts are good. Our sweepers are good. Removal is good. We have 41 creatures. This is so many. Um, and some of these technically aren't, they're like Eagles of the North, Twisted Abomination, Gloomfang Mauler, Troll of Khazad-dûm. These are actually MDFCs, right? They're like,
Yeah, 100%.
yeah, so like they're also kind of lands, while being like a top end creature. So like we don't, it basically like our number of creatures is inflated because it kind of is and it kind of isn't in some
Hmm.
way.
Right.
Um, yeah, we're really getting down to the meat of it here because we're probably going to want 35 lands, and 5 cards that cycle for a land. It's a lot. That's plenty of lands, right? But the
Yeah.
fact that we don't have rocks does make me a little bit sad. Do we chop Sen's Enlistment for the same reason we got rid of Recruit the Worthy? What do you think,
I
Brad?
was looking at that one earlier. I don't I don't think we need it. Like
Yeah,
we have lot of ways to make tokens. We have a lot of ways to make creatures. We have a lot of ways to get back creatures. and it's just
I could
I
see
don't know.
sends. I mean, is it retrace? Yeah. So retrace does work with like cycling for a land, and then if we don't have a land, but yeah, maybe it's just like not what we need.
Yeah, I'm not too sure how often we're gonna want to discard lands in this deck.
Yeah, we're gonna need them. We're gonna want them.
Yeah.
Guardian is really good in Orzhov decks with Pestilence. Um,
Yes.
and in fact,
True.
actually, the other one is Cemetery Gate. That card absolutely destroys.
It sure does. What's
Cemetery
it?
Gate
A
with
0/5?
Pestilence. Yeah, and Guardian. And
Yeah.
so really like because what we can look at is this is a Pestilence deck. And I do
Sure.
define
Yeah.
decks as Pestilence decks because Pestilence is quite simply like one of the more broken uncommons that we have available to us in terms of how it interfaces with the meta.
Oh
And
yeah, for sure.
yeah, and so like having a Guardian and a Pestilence, having two ways on top of our commander to like keep Pestilence in play is so strong. It's so strong. Um, yeah, Mizu, I think you're right. He says, I think we would rather play the land to cast more chonkers,
Exactly.
right?
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I
100%.
think you're totally right on that. That's a really good point. Um, the edicts here, I feel like the edicts are really important because they actually enable our game plan too, right?
Yeah.
So there's a part of me that wants to max it out, go just like 5. Uh,
And we're slow, and we have
yeah,
some flickers, so I mean, like those edicts are gonna come in very handy.
yeah. Um, if we did find ourselves at a table with a combo player, um, well, I mean, there's other combos too that get pretty heavily impacted by edicts. It's not that they're useless. Like against Gretchen, they don't always have Gretchen in play. All of the like banishing knack decks don't like the edicts at all
Right.
because they have to sack something they care about. They just don't have a lot of creatures. Um, so we're down to like basically one cut to rule them all. Um, we need to get these. Our numbers are a little high because we have the original Pestilence here. Get that $48 deck, and it's crazy. If you didn't have False Defeat in the deck, this is like a $25 deck,
Right.
$23 deck. Let's see. Carrier Thrall possible, but I kind of like. I appreciate that our curve has a lot of stuff to do early on before Denethor comes down.
Right. Yep.
We could potentially cut a removal spell, go to that magic number 11. I don't want to cut the reanimation stuff, Mizu. I think you're, yeah. I mean, it does bring the price down, but I think that the reanimation package is like a big. It might be that the reanimation package is actually like you could see a world where you cut all the cycling creatures, you cut all of the reanimation, and instead you just play rocks.
Oh yeah.
But
Yeah.
like, and that's like more consistent in a sense to like ramp, but like the ramp loses its value if you don't have this top end.
Right. If
And
you're
like,
just ramping into 2/2s and
right.
yeah.
And like the land cycling cards are really, really, really good. I'm very convinced that strategy is strong. Yeah, you're right. We would still be at 4 recursive things. So yeah, you're not advocating for cutting the whole thing. You're just saying cut one.
Cut False Defeat.
But the nice thing is that we have 5 of these and we have 5 creatures a cycle, right? There's some like synergy there of just like in terms of mathematical numbers.
What
Like Guardian of the
about
Guild Pact comes to mind. Carrier Thrall comes to mind.
what about it would lower the curve ever so slightly, but what about Angelic Renewal?
Angelic Renewal is a great card.
Like swap that out for something we already have.
Oh, I
No,
don't think Angelic Renewal is in the deck right now.
it's not. That's what I'm
Oh,
saying.
okay.
Like
You're saying,
swap it out
have that
for
in.
yeah.
Yeah, it allows us to reuse initiative. It allows us to like save a Mirkwood Bats. Allows us to, if we have like a host intercessor in play and we block and it dies, then it's going to come back and kill something. And it's a very good card. Yeah.
Right.
And actually, there's another card that kind of comes along with that I think of here, which is Custody Squire. Being able to get back
so
Pestilence or get back,
Oh my
you know,
God,
Oblivion
yeah.
Ring or a creature. I mean, it's very synergistic, and it's a 3/3 flyer. You don't have control
Like,
over what you get back, but
I feel like we're building 60 card Pauper Orzhov control, Orzhov
yeah,
Pestilence into PDH, and I love it.
I'm rock hard for it, dude. It's like
Yeah.
it's a good feeling. I mean,
So good.
it's strong. And it's crazy because like we have so many high quality cards that we could still be playing.
And I like this approach because it's not like, even I'm guilty of it too. Like when I first read Denethor, like the day it was spoiled, I was like, oh, good, another Orzhov Aristocrats commander. But like we're not really on the Aristocrats plan.
Yeah, it's
We are in
funny.
this. We are in the sense that we're sacrificing our own creatures,
Yeah,
but we're not like sacrificing them to beat face. You know, we're
no,
building this massive board and we're just controlling it
yeah,
basically. Like we're not doing the mid range plan. We're not doing any of that. We're just
yeah,
straight up Orzhov control, and I think
yeah.
it looks beautiful.
It is, and you know you could see another world of this where you do play Carrion Feeder, Cartel Aristocrat. You like
Yeah,
lower the curve. There could totally be another build of it, and then
sure.
you're using
Yeah.
the drain as opposed to the gain, right? Like so
Yep.
you're
Good way to put it.
losing
Yep.
people life. But the thing about that is that like Orzhov gives us unbelievable tools for surviving. So it feels like yeah you could build that way, but is that really what the commander wants to do? And
Right.
I don't know that it is, right? Like, it feels like the commander wants to play a 20-turn game,
Yeah. 100%.
which might sound crazy to you all, but I just played a 22-turn game in Thrall Parasite.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, Minthara will get up there too.
Now, I should mention, too, like, people are going to look at that and say, well, like, how does that win tournaments? The reason it was 22 turns was because Crypt Rats was giving itself lifelink. So, like, don't at me about that.
Don't at me, bro.
Yeah. Well, we just need one card before we can start building our land base. So let's just cut something.
Yep.
It could be Carrier Thrall. I think that one strikes me as like it's very good. Man, we're gonna be draining like crazy. Denethor and the Extort.
Yeah, it's gonna be wild.
That's the only other thing that about this that I'm like a little uncomfortable with is that Extort really likes to have a lot of rocks. You want to have a lot of mana, and you want to have like the ability to pay mana and to do things. Oh, Mizu, I'm so sorry. This is probably kind of triggering. Mizu is in that game.
Oh,
Sag.
whoopsie.
He was on Bastion Protector, and
Yeah.
bad things happened. Yeah. So
Or we could cut one of the extorts.
yeah, that was kind of my thought, right? Like, which
Either
like Tithe Drinker or like Syndic of Tithes, maybe. Because the reason I like Basilica Guards, it blocks really well. Kingpin's Pet flies, Basilica Screecher flies. Tithe Drinker and Syndic
I would say probably
be
Tide
Syndic,
Drinker's
right?
got lifelink.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Yeah, the awful thing is that was Mizu's first game on Spell Table, and
Oh
and
no.
I mean it was
first
like
game ever?
yeah, he ran out
Oh
his
no.
his Bastion Protector like on turn 2, and I just had Flesh Bag.
You just had it.
Yeah, it's fucked up. It's
Yeah,
sad.
Mizu. I was thinking about cutting Kingpin because it is Orzhov. Like you have to have black and white to cast it, but that flying is so nice in a slow deck. Like
The flying is huge.
we're gonna be vulnerable for a while if we don't get some people up in the air.
And flying allows us to like take the Monarch and the initiative from people.
Correct.
It's like it's this constant pressure and poking, which is really good. And Citra Priest and Bloodseeker are going to do the same thing. We have a lot of pinging, dude. We don't even have Falconwrath Noble in here. My brain
We
hurts.
certainly don't.
Is Falconwrath Noble better than Guardian? It's more synergistic. It's kind of like a second Brookwood Bats.
It's better. It's better.
Yeah, it's better.
In
Right?
this
Flies
in this
too.
particular deck, it is better. Yeah.
Feels
In this exact deck.
yeah. And with Falconwrath Noble out, if we Pestilence, it's better than having Pestilence in play every turn because we wipe the board. Falconwrath is going to just do a fuck zillion damage to everything.
Right.
Or to somebody. It's going to kill somebody. This is our Harsh Sustenance.
Yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. And it's a great card to get back. You know, another thing that strikes me too, Tortured Existence is pretty good here.
It is. That crossed my mind about 5 minutes ago.
Yeah, because Tortured Existence is best when you have things that you're happy to get rid of, like if you top deck a Crawling Chorus and you don't need it anymore, and you're like, but I would love to have that Gloomfang Mauler, or I would love to have that Vicious Battle Rager, or Thorn,
Yeah,
or
for
Palace
sure.
Sentinels, Mirkwood Bats, Falconwrath Noble, Demir House
Staunch
Guard,
Throne Guard.
Staunch
Yep.
Throne Guard, any of that shit. Like it's just really good. The
Yeah,
question,
jam it in there.
Mizu said, Falconwrath Noble, do we need it? That is
It's
a good question. I mean, we aren't
extremely
going super
synergistic.
wide. It is extraordinarily synergistic. It does fly.
It is a 2/2, which isn't ideal.
Which means it dies to our sweepers.
Yeah,
But we only have two
that's
of
true.
those, right? So and it is only one player.
Oh, it is target player. That's not ideal for a slow multiplayer deck.
Falconwrath Noble, though, oftentimes reads like, don't sweep my board or you die. That's a lot of, like, I've
That's
seen
true.
game
Yeah,
states
yeah.
where somebody needed to sweep the board and they couldn't because Falconwrath Noble was just like sitting there being like, yeah, try me, bro. Like, you
Well,
will
and two,
die.
I like Falconwrath Noble because it'll exhaust more removal spells.
Yeah, this will die.
Like someone will think
Yeah.
that needs to die when actually something else needs to die, and they're just going to waste a removal spell on it.
Which is a little concerning. Like, you know, like when people kill, like Clay and I played a game recently where he killed my Creeping Bloodsucker on turn 2, and then turn 3 or 4, somebody just played Sir Conrad, and it was like, ooh.
But you know, if we're looking, they're both 4 mana. I don't know. Is Guardian of the Guild Pact better here? I don't know.
I know they're really hard. Like a Guardian
They're
being
really
like a
hard.
Pestilence holder. Like I could even see a world where we like cut Carrier Thrall, we do Cemetery Gate and Guardian.
Right. And I hate. God, that's brutal.
Yeah, let's do it. I like this.
Yeah.
Cemetery Gate needs to be in this deck. It's such a good card. It also just blocks everything. Like, you know, it holds the fort really well. And then Guardian.
Okay, so we're cutting the Syndic. Tithe.
Abiza says, what's that descriptor you use for your Mayhem Devil? When you say descriptor, what do you mean by that?
I think I'm viewing the deck as a deck that doesn't really rely on what. Yeah, that's totally viable.
Yeah, I think you're right. This is an Orzhov good stuff deck that has an engine that feeds a lot of things we want to do.
What's extremely nice about Denethor is that you don't necessarily have to cast it. Like, who cares if it's on the battlefield at all? Like, it's nice. It's a nice effect, but it's not like, oh my god, my deck doesn't function if he's not on board.
It's very commander. People say commander agnostic, but the term agnostic doesn't actually translate the way people think it does. It means to not believe. So it's really commander ambivalent. And I think that's kind of what we've got going on here. It's an important part of it. Musa says, you describe your Mayhem Devil as the list that doesn't need the commander. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. That's a great way to put it. Like, yeah, Mayhem Devil, and in fact, the new build of Mayhem Devil that I've got coming out soon is going to be even more that way. Yeah, ambivalent. Yeah. So we need one cut. It could come from removal. It could come from, I mean, it's just like a who's who of like some of the best cards in white and black here. So it's like,
certainly is.
You know, even so, Nasty End is kind of interesting because we were talking about how Denethor is like not gonna die a lot, and Nasty End. So we could look at Nasty End and say this is just a draw 3 in the deck, but it's also like, when are we doing this where we're, you know, like when do we actually want to sack Denethor?
We have 6 card draw spells that make us sacrifice a creature. Like, is that too many?
I don't think so, because it all feeds back into Denethor. But I don't know that I want to turn our engine off with Denethor. We can always recast Denethor, right? So that's fine. Drawing 3 is a lot for 2 mana.
Yeah, it's so it's tempting.
It's very tempting indeed. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know, and quite frankly, there's competition with Nasty End for just playing a card like Siphon Mind, where you like draw 3 for 4 and you don't need to sack your commander.
Siphon Mind's not even in the deck.
It's not even in the deck, yeah. And I like Nasty End is starting to look a little suspect to me. I think Siphon Mind is what we want, actually.
Instead of Nasty End.
Yeah.
I can totally buy that.
I mean, and Nasty End is still just 2 mana, sack a creature, draw 2. So it's on par with Costly Plunder, Deadly Dispute, Village Rights, Conviction, Reckoner's Bargain. It's the same thing. It just doesn't sack artifacts.
Right.
Although artifacts are not like a huge part of what we're doing. We have food tokens from late to dinner. You know, we
Blood.
have the Undercity Scrounger because we don't have rocks. So,
Yeah.
so the other option too is something like the what was that card called? Gibbering Barricade. You know, where we could
Hmm.
play that instead and just say it's going to be a lot more mana, but it's going to draw us more cards over the course of a game while being a body. Um, there's also that line of thinking, and it doesn't have to tap itself to do
Nope.
that.
You could do it as much as you have creatures and mana for.
Right. And I think what I would be probably doing if I had Gibbering Barricade is I would rather pay 3 to draw a card and sack something than drain everybody for 1. Because we're still getting the life gain. We're just not draining everybody.
Sure.
So
I can buy that.
there is that thought too. But like to get the 1 card off of Gibbering Barricade is literally 3 times as much mana as Nasty End. And it's more mana than Siphon Mind by a long shot. Let's do
Yeah,
Siphon
it
Mind,
is.
cut Nasty
It
End.
is.
Because we want that. We do want like a big draw spell in here. Although, you know, another way to look at it is the Monarch and the Initiative is like all this, like it's a flow of cards instead of a burst of cards.
Hmm.
And so,
Yeah, it's
you know,
constant. Constant, yep.
right.
And Barricade doesn't really do anything. You know, like if you have to
Yeah.
wipe the board with a Pestilence and all you have left is a Barricade, like you're not attacking.
Yeah.
You're not, not doing anything with it.
Yeah. I am sad that we don't have the Trailblazer's Torch in here too.
I know. I love the card.
Like just initiative in general in this deck is so good. Getting a land, you know, pumping something up, scrying. I mean, yeah, like even the 4/1 skeleton token, the Throne of the Dead 3, all of it is the goat.
Sure. Hmm.
It's all very self-reinforcing. We just don't really have any way to like reuse it, recover it. But it's just 4 mana initiative.
Yep.
So we need 1 cut to get to 35. And this is not
Let's
a lot
see
of good
here.
things here.
That's the sideboard. Let's go back up.
I'm really
All right.
loath to cut Street Wraith. I think this card is way too good in this deck to cut, right? Like Street Wraith is a lot better than like Night's Whisper or Sign in Blood here because we can like reuse it and it's instant speed. It's free. 0 mana draw 1 versus
is
2 mana
free.
draw 2.
Now, yeah, I love the fact that it's basically 0 life to
Why don't we cut Syndic
draw a card.
for the Extort? We'll just do that, and then we can get into playtesting. So we'll bite the bullet on that. We're mostly black, some white. So let's get some cards in here. Opal Palace seems good. Study Hall, although actually our commander doesn't die that much, right?
It does not. Correct.
Okay, that's good. We'll keep that in mind. Let's put this into the sideboard. But we are going to want Bajuka Bog. We're going to want Orzhov
Mortuary,
Basilica.
Witch's Cottage.
Yep, Mortuary Mire, Witch's Cottage. We're going to want Orzhov Basilica. Or Orzhov Basilica. We're going to want... do we want Idyllic Grange? We don't really have as many. It's kind of it's not a 50-50 split. It's a 40-60. Idyllic Grange just puts a counter on something, so it's not a ton.
No, I could take it or leave it.
We don't have to tutor for it.
Right.
We're going to want type Swamp, type Plains.
Yep.
So we're going to want Sinkhole, Sunlit Marsh. White and black is giving us stuff like Sejuri Step. Could be kind of interesting to like regain the initiative from somebody, but it's not super high impact, and its sorcery speed protection's not great. So these are all good here. Let's just do, so we have 6 of those, so we need to cut, so we have 29 lands, and it's going to be, 19? No, 29. 29 lands.
Yep.
And it's going to be like 17 swamps, 12 plains.
I like that. Yeah, I like that. If we're going to err, I'd rather err on the side of more swamps because of the pestilence and the rats.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I am good with that.
Yeah. Okay. So there
And
we are.
we've
We're at
got
100
so many,
cards. Holy shit.
we've got a handful of turn 1 plays, so I like having a lot of basics, just
Yeah,
regular basics.
a lot of basics is good here. Do we need more duels? We have a lot of the extort stuff is pretty color intensive, but we
It
always have
is
white or
color
black,
intensive.
right? It's not just black like it is in a black deck. Or a
Right.
lot of decks like Rakdos decks is always extort for black. In this one, we can extort for any mana, so it's not too bad.
Sure.
Um,
But I'm always fine with Scoured Barrens and
Scoured Barrens would be good.
Silver Quill Campus, that sort of
Oh,
thing.
Path of Ancestry. We have a fair number of humans. Cut out of planes there. Other things that might be good. Other lands. Oh, we do have type land. We actually have a couple of cards that I can think of that would be interesting to explore. So Ancient Den we definitely want, and we want probably want Baron Moor, and
Sure.
we probably want
Secluded Step.
Command Tower, of course.
Yeah,
Cave of
Command Tower,
Temptation is
for sure.
interesting. Like with the Guardian and with the Flyers, being able to turn like Mirkwood Bats into like a 4/5. Cradle of the Curse was the card I was thinking of. Turn a land into a 2/2. But I don't know how much we're going to want to sack our lands to do that.
Right.
Crystal Grotto is pretty good too.
Crystal Grotto's real good. The scry's nice. Takashi's Dig Site is nice in the late game.
I'm going to put Darksteel Citadel in here too because Reckoner's Bargain, Costly Plunder, and Deadly Dispute all sack lands. Seems good
Reckoner's
to me.
Bargain is Reckoner's Bargain
Artifacts. So when I say
Artifacts,
lands, I'm saying it sacks artifact lands.
Yeah.
Goldmire Bridge.
Stuff in my head.
Haunted Fengraf.
Sure, the bridge. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Haunted Fengraf.
Yep. We have Quicksand is a pretty good one, but I think I don't know. This is a nice trick, but
Yeah, it's okay.
we'll add it into sideboard. It might be something we want. Secluded Step, just a way to cycle, is going to be good. There's Silver Quill Campus.
I'm a fan, especially in a late game deck like this.
It's very expensive. It's 5 mana scry one, but it's like, late game deck. It's like Witherbloom, right? You do actually want a lot of that so that you have something to do with your mana if you don't need to do anything. What about Dross Pits and Fair Basilica?
I am indifferent towards those.
They're kind of like have your cake and eat it too with the cycling lands, right? You get to play them early and then you can draw cards late, which actually is kind of the formula, right? Like late game if we need more gas. Tokasha's Dig Site. Vault of Whispers, that's the other one I was looking for. Okay, cool. I think that's plenty of non-basics here. That added a bunch more lands to the deck, so now we need to cut. And
yeah, certainly did. $49 lands. Yeah, let's
41. Because something's got to give. I think maybe Campus is going to be a little bit worse than the Dross Pits and the Fair Basilica.
That's fine. Totally fine. Yep.
Crystal Grotto, not necessary.
No,
I like it,
I think with the amount of card draw and stuff we have, we're probably good.
So we need 2 more land cuts. So we'll just do a Plains and a Swamp.
And Crystal Grotto, you actually have to work a little more to get that colored mana. Like, Extort costs you 2 now. Like, come on.
Yep. And we need to have the Lord of the Rings lands here. Everybody knows that. Of course.
Yes.
And we're at 100 cards. Dude.
Bingo, bango.
Hell yeah, we got there.
Got it.
So we're at a 53 card deck. If you wanted to budget this, you would be able to cut a $25 card with the False Defeat and then just play some other recursion spell like Blood Fountain or something like that. You know, the budget constraints here too, if you cut Snuff out, would also get you closer. Even cards like Deadly Dispute are kind of expensive. You know, we don't have Gary. What the fuck?
I was looking at that earlier.
We were like, patting each other on the back and like, nice job.
Good game.
We won the game. We got the points. Oh, fuck.
No Gary.
No Gary. Okay, good. Quite the fail. Gary slaps in this deck. Sure does. Pretty hard. Ends games. Flickering it's pretty good.
Yeah, I've heard that's good. It's really
Yeah,
good.
yeah. I've been winning games lately by grave flickering Gary with a sack outlet.
Yeah,
But what comes out?
that's sick. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now.
If we had 30, I don't think 34 lands is reasonable, right? Like, because we even with the
Mm,
cyclers, it's not chill.
I don't
Um,
think
it
so. I
is
think
not chill.
35 is yeah where we got to be.
Yeah. We do have like these edicts, maybe Benelish Sleeper. We could also say Slum Reaper. Um, the only problem being like off the initiative, you don't get the thing, but Slum Reaper always does sack something. Benelish Sleeper is like a second Fleshbag Marauder
Right.
for cheaper. I think the edicts work really well in this deck though,
I do too. I do too.
but maybe we don't need.
4 of them because we have flickers like each.
I mean, they're so amazing with like reaping the graves and even the reanimation things, right? Like
Right.
if we're in a pinch and we need to kill a Dargo, we just go Breath of Life on our Slum Reaper. It's dead.
Exactly.
Like these
Right.
cards are fucking insane in this deck. They're so strong. They're really, really good. Um, Blood Priest and Citrus Priest, or Bloodseeker and Citrus Priest feel like inviolate. Like I don't think we cut those. There's
Hmm.
probably a creature we can cut here somewhere, but I just like my
Yeah, I just
brain is
scrolled back up to the top.
so smooth. Um,
We don't honestly well, I mean it is a treasure token every turn, but we don't have a way to abuse Undercity Scrounger.
yeah, it's like a mana rock that's like turning on our commander.
Yeah, it is
Um,
like a mana rock. That's a good point.
but I think in the same vein though too, like we have a lot of ways to use that token, and we only get one per turn. So
Right. Like we're not putting, freed from the real on it
yeah,
or something like that.
I think Undercity Scrounger can go. Okay, good. I think this is
Yeah,
sweet.
for Gary, yeah,
For
totally.
Gary, oh yeah, like
Ev-
choose, but
every
yeah,
day.
here's your exercise. Choose between Gary and Undercity Scrounger, and tell me what you choose. Um,
Choose wisely.
okay, so we're gonna do a couple of rounds of play testing here. This is a 2-land hand with not a lot going on. This is much better. We're gonna get our commander out. We've got a basilica to. We have like 6 lands in hand basically.
Right.
In our 7 mana hand or 7
Hmm.
card hand. There's not a lot going on early, but I think we'll draw something. What do you think about this as a keep? We have
It's a little
removal.
sketchy with so many
We
lands,
have
but yeah, we need the lands is the problem. So I don't know.
and we have this going on
Right.
with Haunted Van Graff. Our colors are set. Let's just try it. Let's see.
Sure.
Oh,
Yeah,
Doomblade,
yeah.
cool. So we're gonna want to get the Basilica out early, I think. Although Basilica sometimes is a way to like reuse a Bajuka Bog or Mortuary Mire
Oh,
or
for
something.
sure, for
So
sure.
maybe
Yeah.
we just like curve out normally by playing Sinkhole. Next turn, Village Rites. That's good. So we'll go Plains, pass. Probably nothing happens in between, but we could also just say let's Doomblade something.
Sure.
Oh, that's a great draw. So now we go Denethor, and then we draw, and then we're gonna go Tokasha's Dig Site. Our pips are a little constrained here, so there's almost a part of me that thinks Basilica needs to come out.
I think it
Uh,
is too. We got the cheap plays.
so we'll go Hunted Witness.
I mean, you could even technically on this turn before you do Hunted Witness, you could even because this is we didn't play a land this turn, right?
No,
I mean, you could even let me look at something
like
real
Float
quick.
Plains, Hunted Witness, Orzhov Basilica, Return It, Village Rites,
Oh,
the
we don't
Hunted
have enough.
Witness.
Yeah, we
So
don't have enough mana for what I was thinking. So yeah,
so
I
this
think
will
you're
go to the
on the right
grave.
plan.
Go to the graveyard. Go to the graveyard. We're gonna draw 2. Those are some pretty good
Oh,
cards.
come on.
Jesus, just spoon feeding us good shit.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I love this. This is looking really good.
That hand right there looks amazing.
This is amazing. Yeah, and then we're gonna make a soldier, human soldier with lifelink. Which one is it? Is it this one? Does it have lifelink? Sure, it does. We'll just say it does, and then we'll
What
make
gives it lifelink?
uh, the hunted witness makes a white soldier. Oh, it's just a soldier.
Yeah.
So we have to figure out which one it is. This one. Okay, cool. And then we get the human soldier. Yo, what's up, Sniff? How you doing, baby?
Hey,
Yeah.
Sniff. What's going on, man?
Yeah, we got the man in the house. Denethor, some Brad action. Based.
Hell yeah,
It's
buddy.
based as fuck, dude.
Super
We're
based.
vibing. This deck looks really cool, too. You know, another thing, too, is that while this deck, we're building it for competitive, this deck strikes me a little similar to Golem, where you could totally play this as a casual deck, too.
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
yeah. In fact, the way that I played Golem casually is by getting blisteringly crossfaded and then just like maths for blockers. You decide what to do, that kind of thing.
You know,
So,
it wouldn't be hard either. You know, you swap out Guardian of the Guild Pact for Undercity Scrounger, and you swap Snuff out for Bone Shards. Like just little changes like that.
Yep. I think at this turn of the game, we're pretty happy to just cast Chain Devil.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Go like 1, 2, 3, 4, like that, and just get the Chain Devil down. I think we probably sack the soldier, keep the Chain Devil, and then just pass.
Because that Chain Devil's, if it's a blocker, it's going to kill pretty much anything they have on the board.
Yeah. And we're slow. So this is perfectly fine. We're just making land drops. We're oppressing the board when need be. You know, we have sweepers. We have Guardian in play, or Guardian in hand. Someone mentioned crossfaded Ryan on some podcast pre-show. Did they really? Yeah, that was pretty funny. I don't drink. It's just not like a part of my life really. But at the RIW Hobbies events, it was such a vibe. And
it was so fun.
I drink on special occasions. I drank when my grandpa died because he paid for our meal, and he insisted in his will that we go to this very expensive restaurant, and it would be all covered by his will, and that we would just buy whatever we wanted when we were there. And so I bought some like $24 glass of Jefferson Ocean whiskey, and that was insane. I had 2 of them actually. I just had my uncle pick out the finest whiskey they had and did that. And then, RIW Hobbies, it was like, man, we were outside smoking
just
cigars,
chilling, man. Yeah.
Having a drink, and just schmoozing and making friends and talking Magic. So it was a special time, but I got very drunk that night.
Yes.
I was like trying to play Magic, and it was I was bad.
Oh, it did not work out very well.
I was not good at Magic anymore. Sniff says next time we do a tournament, everyone needs to stay an extra day so we can get drunk. Yeah, daytime drunk. That's the answer.
Some good old day drinking.
Yep. For sure. So let's do this.
I think by this point in the game, the rest of the board is going to determine what we play. But yes, that was my mindset. Guardian of the Guild Pact is the play here.
And then we just like sack this thing, drain everybody, get it back. Like this is what was so exciting to me about Denethor is you just do this every turn. Like Denethor is an extort card. Like with this, the fact that it feeds itself, right?
And then I think the next turn we either Rats, depending on the board, or Soul of Migration.
Reaping the Graves with Soul of Migration, Crypt Rats, and Chain Devil. That's heavy, because what we can do is, this is spicy. This is very spicy. So we go Tokasha's Dig Site, and we go, let's see, 1, 2, 3. Do we have mana to do this? Yeah. We could go 1, 2, 3, 4. Soul of Migration on Evoke.
Yes.
Which is going to turn on our commander. It might be worth looking at other Evoke stuff. I don't know if there's anything else we want, but these are bird tokens. #BirdGang.
#BirdGang.
Yep. So we're going to get 2 of these here. This is going to go to the graveyard. And we have 3 mana up for Reaping the Graves. So what we're going to do is...
Wisp-Mare is not a bad idea. You can evoke it for a single white, and when it ETBs, it blows up an enchantment.
Yeah, and it flies.
It's a 1/3. Like, that's a decent butt in the air.
Yeah, not bad at all. So
that could be considering.
I think that we could save Reaping the Graves, actually, for when we have Chain Devil. So what I want to do here is we pass the turn, we get the token, and then...
Yeah, you got to be pretty smart with Reaping the Graves, because we have no way to get that spell back. Like,
no,
if
we
you
don't.
cast it for, you get 2 creatures back, but then 2 turns later, you could have got 8 creatures back.
Yeah, exactly. Like, Reaping the Graves, the ceiling on it is pretty insane. So, like, I could see a world here where we actually pay 2 at the very end step to sack Chain Devil.
Sure.
And
or
then
you could, even if we had to, evoke Soul of Migration, and with the evoke trigger on the stack, hit Soul of Migration with Denethor.
Yep. Yep.
So get it coming and going.
I'm noticing we don't have a lot of black mana right now.
That's a good point. We do not.
So we'll go Dross Pits. I think at this stage in the game, I kind of like the idea of, because we're turn 8, we're probably going to need, we don't actually have a lot of black mana here. We're
Yeah,
crimped
that's
on
weird.
black mana. Interesting. We don't actually have as much white stuff. So I think what we want to do here is let's go back and rebalance that a little bit. Because I think yeah, we have only 66% black and we're actually overloaded on white a little bit. So let's go remove this, and we can always tutor for these too. So that's the
Mm-hmm.
beauty. Do we need the cycling draw cards? I'm starting to think we don't.
Yeah,
You
swap it.
you can Orzhov Basilica to return these, which means we can have our cake and eat it too.
Of course. Well, it is Orzhov, so they like doing that.
Maybe we don't need Drospits and Fair Basilica either. I like that they're going to give us more gas later on, but I'm also not certain that we have problems with that.
With card draw.
Yeah.
Sure.
Let's try that rebalancing there, and we'll send it through another one of these.
And we have a decent amount of turn 1 and 2 plays. So I'd hate to load
We
turn
do.
1, 2, and 3 up with tap lands.
This is good. Late
It's a
to
nice
dinner.
mix.
Very nice. So Plains, Doom Traveler.
See, that's a good
Oof.
turn 1 right there.
Oh, you know what? Holy shit. This deck actually, it's kind of wild, but this deck actually does do the Culling the Weak Dark Ritual thing pretty well. Turn 2 Vicious Battle Rager, or turn 2 Underdark Explorer, turn 2 Thorn of the Black Rose, turn 2...
Well, or, turn 3, instead of cycling one of the land cyclers, you cast it.
Yeah.
If you need it.
Yeah. We don't have
That's true.
ways to like discard cards, which is usually where I like those. Like they're best when you have a way to get rid of them when you don't need them.
Sure.
That's kind of like the happiest home for them, because otherwise they can feel kind of dead. But they do offer us a sack outlet. They do provide a lot of mana. Well, the Culling the Weak in particular.
Yeah.
But both of those turn on very early and explosive Monarch and Initiative stuff, which is pretty game ending. I mean, you played Pauper during the brief period where we were doing like Lotus Petals, Rite of Flames, Dark Writ, all that into Vicious Battle Rager and
Yeah.
like
Gross.
and yeah,
Gross.
I mean that was some strong stuff, and any deck that can do that, like there's definitely an argument for it. At the very least, Culling the Weak is a sack outlet that can turn on Denethor for the turn and give us a big boost of mana. So I don't think it's going to be very dead, right? You could even see a turn where you go like, you want to like activate Pestilence a bunch more times. You like sack something that's going to die anyways, make a bunch of mana, do the Pestilence thing more. That's kind of interesting.
Oh, sure. Yeah, that is kind of interesting.
Yeah. I'm not sure that Cave of Temptation needs to be here. It's feeling a little weird. I really want to go... I think we want to get Denethor online. Land? No land. This is where not having a ton of mana sources is like a bit sad.
Yeah, bit
like
sad
we could
face.
almost be 36 lands and it would be better.
I don't know that I have not built an Orzhov deck, a white deck, or a black deck in the last year that has less than 36 lands, and that's with mana rocks. Like I've been around with mana rocks and lands, I'm usually hovering around 45 to 49 total.
I'm a big fan of like big mana source decks. In general. This
like
is
we could probably bump the lands up by 1 and add.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Maybe, I mean, the other thing is we haven't given a lot of playtests, but we have 5 cards that find lands for us.
That's true. That's almost like a land and a half.
Yeah.
That's...
Like, this is good. It's a little slow, but... Oh, that made it not so slow. We don't have white, but we're going to cycle Street Wraith to see what we get. Benelish Sleeper. Okay, so I think we're just going to run the draw spits out.
Mm-hmm.
We need white mana, though. We need it bad. We'll go Swamp. There we go. Never punished. So we could Edict the board, but then we set ourselves a turn behind. So I think we want to go Basilica and just take the turn off.
Yeah, that's fine.
Um,
Based on our hand, I think that's totally fine.
yeah. So Denethor, and then let's just run out this Snowfield Sinkhole.
Like, how good does it feel to cast an early commander that isn't a threat?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're just getting on board and we're
Yep.
just gonna do stuff. Like, don't mind what we're doing. It's fine.
It's a really important thing that I think is super different about this and cEDH. And there's been some conversations lately about every commander is worth killing. Every every deck you build should have a lot of things worth killing in them. And I actually think that in cEDH, you always want to be the problem, because if you aren't, somebody's going to win before you.
Sure.
And so control doesn't really make sense. Mid range is going to be different too. And in this format, 1/3 to, like 30 to 40% of the decks are combo decks, which means that there's statistically 1 to 2 combo decks in a pod. And you cannot tell me that Denethor is going to eat a kill spell when Gretchen is playing Untappers. It's just
No.
like fundamentally
100%.
it's nonsense. So you can actually take advantage of the possum equity, which is that, like, yeah, you're going to get scary in the late game, but in the immediate moment, you're not going to save your kill spell and just lose.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, people can't afford to pay attention
No.
to Denethor in the early game.
No.
So
No, it's not doing anything that's like fundamentally threatening the table. Now, if there isn't a combo player, maybe they look at you and they say, "Okay, you are the one to die," because if we
maybe
let you go,
though,
maybe.
like,
I mean,
I think a lot of people will have faith in their I can kill this Denethor deck before it gets to doing what it's doing, and before they know it, it's our turn, and we lay the smackdown.
Yeah, absolutely. I think we had to discard a hand size there because of the Basilica.
Sure.
Or wait, did we? Or did I just draw an extra card? I think I drew an extra card because we shouldn't. Well, Basilica. I'm not sure. Yeah, Denethor is sneak under the radar and grind away. And I've won so many games of Magic. Like that's like my brand, okay? Is like playing commanders that don't immediately threaten everybody with death, that nickel and dime people, and that ultimately grind an amazing late game. And they want to get down to that 1v1. And I think that this is a great example of that. That was what really got me excited about it at first, is that we're just going to grind. It's Witherbloom Apprentice. It's Thrall Parasite. It's, any heavy control deck. So let's go Swamp. We've got all of our mana online. We could just do, like we could do a Benelish Sleeper right now and turn on our commander. I think that's what we want, right?
Yeah, get some early value out of it. I don't see a problem with that.
Basilica, okay, Benelish Sleeper. Somebody could Crime of Opportunity and be like, I killed a Benelish Sleeper, but it's like, but why? But why?
Yeah, right.
Yeah, there's that. And then on our turn, we draw Rotten Reunion, good. Like, this looks just very reasonable.
It's a good hand.
Have a lot to do. We can Fleshbag Marauder, upgrade the soldier token. We have ways to reanimate these edicts, which is clearly, the edicts are going to be, there might be an argument that we could cut one of the edict creatures because we have so many ways to reuse them, right?
Yeah, that's a good point. Like,
so many.
We have Reaping Graves, Breath of Life, False Defeat, Late to Dinner, Resurrection.
Witch's Cottage, Mortuary Mire, Haunted Fengraph. We can flip them into play off the initiative. Like, would an edict creature be, maybe an edict creature is worse than just playing either Culling the Weak or just Trailblazer's Torch? A card that we never wanted to cut. I mean,
yeah, I say we drop an edict and add Trailblazer's Torch.
Yeah. So we drop Slum Reaper.
Sure. Yep, add the torch.
Yeah,
that feels good. That feels good.
It really does. Like, this is like the most initiative Monarch deck that you can possibly have.
Right.
And so we want to optimize around that. Land, little sketchy.
It's a little sketch because everything's so expensive.
Yeah. Also sketchy. And unplayable. Okay, well.
Okay.
I mean, sometimes you got to take these. It's not bad. We're going to do stuff. We got a kill spell,
Right.
Late to dinner with the Soul of Migration or Gary is great. So we
Seems
just
good.
run out Denethor. We're gonna draw into Gloomfang Mauler. Great. Look at this. Fucking disgusting.
Yeah, it's gross.
So
I
now
love
we
it.
get to do the soul. Like, look how synergistic this is. This goes into the graveyard. We get the Denethor. We're gonna get Burbs.
Yep.
Like very, very smooth. And this is like kind of a bad looking hand, right? Oh, there we go. There we go. Yeah, now we're cooking with gasoline.
Yep.
Probably maybe we like cycle Gloomfang Mauler and kill something.
Yeah, that seems like a good play.
And actually, what we would want to do is instead of playing Tokashas, we cycle this, and we go and we get the other dual land. What's it called? Arctic. Is it tree? No. What's
Oh, the sinkhole.
Sinkhole. Snowfield sinkhole.
Yep.
So
Yep.
we do that. We pay one. Is it one? Two. And then we play the sinkhole, and then we kill something with Doomblade.
Look at that.
And actually, what we can do too, beautiful, we just sacrifice this thing to get it back. And then we draw, we do Tokashas, and then we can reanimate. Isn't this gross?
Yeah, reanimating the Mauler seems decent.
Yep. And it's like, oh, hi there, my bird.
Just
Yeah.
became a 2/2 with menace until the end of turn.
Well, yeah, three. Well, three. It's a 3/3 flyer now forever, right? Because it's a permanent. It's a permanent buff,
Yeah.
right? So we just like add counters to this. We pay 2, sacrifice this thing. Oh, and we used late to dinner, and we have a food token. And then yeah, it's like just grind, grind, grind.
But look at this right now. Like, look how many tokens you've sacrificed or done whatever with. We have a food token. We have a bird on board, a soldier on board, another bird on board. Like, the bats are just good in this deck.
They're really good. Yeah, this stuff and this stuff. That's exactly where I want to be. And like
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fuck it. Here's
it.
my Gurmag Angler that regenerates.
Eat it and deal with it.
Yep. And then we just go like, we could Rotten Reunion, but we probably save this for regenerate.
Sure.
And we're attacking for 8, 9. It's very good.
Yeah.
Planes, and now we just Gary.
Gary for
NBD.
5. That's cool.
NBD. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's see. We can actually leave up this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2. Oh, we can't. So we probably want to tap that, and we're gonna tap 2 anyways to sacrifice this to drain. We've got mana up to Rotten Reunion. We're a little low on cards right now, but we just need 1 draw spell off the top. And we actually, what we would have done here is we would have Tokasha's Dig Site. 1, 2,
Sure.
3. Tokasha's, mill this into the yard, draw. Ha!
Oh my god.
Ah! Gods be praised.
GTFO.
Yeah, sack this. Draw 2. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, now we're just gaming.
Oh.
We're gaming them.
Yep, we're gaming. Gamer mode engaged. Kingpin's pet. And yeah, this is turn 9, but like we're not dead.
No, we got some bodies on the ground, some in the air. We got life gain.
Yeah. Okay, I think our hypothesis here is looking really good. I'm confident that this deck is going to execute a game plan that is reasonable. We have plenty
absolutely.
of removal. It's reusable. Like technically, Host Intercessor and Butcher are both flickerable, so we actually have a couple more removal spells. Even and we have these like onboard stacks effects for combo. Like there's another avenue here too. We actually could have like Coalition Honor Guard and Standard Bearer as well as
you absolutely could. Yeah. Yeah.
They protect flicker, but they dumpster everything else.
Yep.
Yeah, they're really good, and they protect the things that we have too. But I think this is
and you said it
solid.
like 2 hours ago. Like Orzhov I mean, you can make an argument for Golgari, but Orzhov is just the toolboxiest colors. Like
It
this
is.
deck could be whatever you want it to be. Like you want it to be just a straight up Epicure of Blood, Marauding Blight Priest, Gain Drain, Extort deck. Go for it. Like
Absolutely.
because, like we talked about earlier, Denethor doesn't pull you in one direction or another.
He does everything self-contained.
Yeah.
Right. You could have like an aggressive Denethor deck, even where Denethor
Sure.
comes down and and it's like making bodies that you can sacrifice to like your K-Dead or your, it's like +1 power to your Mortician Beetle and your Carrion Feeder every turn.
Right.
It's enabling Bone Picker. We've got Daniel Troon. Welcome, friend. Glad to have you in the chat. There's
Hey,
a
what's
double
up?
gray merchant. A double gray merchant. What's double gray merchant? Could you expand on that?
Double gray.
Oh, a card we don't have in here is that I think we should is Befoul. That's one in the creature section. Do we have another gray merchant effect here that I'm missing?
Yeah, there's a gray merchant under the creature.
There's a double gray merchant. I wonder if he's talking about in the considering.
Disenchant, draw.
No.
Edicts, flickers, graveyard, life gain. Oh, in the life gain section, there's also gray merchant. So we need another card.
No. So I see what you're saying, Daniel.
The
So,
tags, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. So the tags, the tags aren't duplicating the number of cards. So watch this. If I go Alt 1 and I increase the copies, it increases both. So the reason I do that is because I'm really concerned about like the balance of effects. So it's really important to me to know.
Yeah, it's a really
does
neat
multiple
feature.
things. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it really threw me off when I forget what I was looking at. It was a long time ago, and I thought they have duplicates of so many cards in this deck. What is happening?
And actually,
then I realized it's a tag feature. So
yeah. And actually, in this deck, because our commander gains life and we really don't have problems with life gain, I don't even think we need a life gain section. I'm going to get rid of this. These are just creatures that like are good, and they do the thing we want to do. In like a Rakdos deck, you do need to have a section for life gain because Rakdos is so often mid-range that you need ways to gain life, right?
Yeah.
God, I just want to flip a Mockrit Behemoth into play off of Throne of the Dead 3. A couple days ago, I actually flipped Gloomfang Mauler into play as a 10/10.
Oh, gross.
10/10 Menace with Hexproof.
Gross.
Yeah.
That's
or
amazing.
Troll just being like a 9/9/8 triple menace. Or like Pegasus Guardian, 6/6 flyer that makes 1/1s. Like our initiative game here is fucking ludicrous.
Even like if you hit Soul of Migration on the throne, you got a 5/7 that creates 2 creatures.
5/7 that makes creatures. Twisted Abomination. Here's my 8/6 that regenerates. Gray Merchant, of course, is like the very best hit, along with like Crypt Rats. Like this deck flips stupid stuff into play.
And this cool too. Like I know a lot of decks can do this, but this is the type of deck where if they take the initiative from you through combat, you can turn around next turn and be like, hey, would you give it back to me for 1 damage in the air? This bird, can you let this bird at you for the initiative? And they're like, yeah, sure, whatever. You get it back. And then like second main phase, you're like, okay, cool. I'm going to flicker my Vicious Battle Rager.
Yeah.
Go through the Undercity again.
Yep, exactly. Yeah.
You'll be double dipping all game long.
Double dipping all day long. So Daniel also mentioned Golem. And so I just wanted to respond to that. So Golem is a deck I've been playing a lot. I've actually been winning a lot with it. Yesterday, I won 2 games in a row with it. We're at 102.
Yeah, I don't know
right
how
now.
you came off the road from last weekend's vacation and just started jamming PDH. Dude, I was like, oh my god, I can't do it.
Yeah, man,
I needed a break.
I was like not. I'm actually shocked that I've been winning games like this last week. Doesn't make any sense. Like in fact, like all the games I've played on stream, I've won, which is weird because it's just like, I was so struggling after that.
Yeah.
But Golem is really good, Daniel. Golem, the card does more than it reads. Because it's a leaves the battlefield effect, you can ninjutsu it, you can sacrifice it, but more importantly, when it's a leaves the battlefield trigger, people don't want to tempt you. So they don't attack you if it's untapped. So it kind of reads don't attack me, and it also reads don't block me. So it's like unblockable prismatic strands all in this like 3/1 that skips the command tax and turns your 1/1, like Night Market Lookout and your Thornbow Archer and your Pulse Tracker into crazy cards. Like last game I played with Golem, I did 24 damage with a Night Market Lookout.
Seems
Like,
good.
how fucked
Seems
up is
decent.
that? If you swing 6 turns in a row, like you gained 6 life and you did 24 damage to the table out of 90.
Uh-huh.
So it's a very good deck. The things I'm picking over with the 2 card slots that I've got is that I really want to have Scrapwork Rager, Grixis Slave Driver, and First Sphere Garganta as a couple of ways to break parity on the ring. So when you loot, it's really nice to be able to pitch something into the yard that you can cast. And both Scrapwork Rager and Garganta make a body that draws a card that has haste that you can sacrifice to get Golem back. Like everything about it's very good. And Grixis Slave Driver just makes, well, Grixis Slave Driver is probably the worst of these, actually. Yeah, I can cut that one. But I highly recommend checking this deck out. It's definitely like a premier black aggro deck. And
Sure.
I have high confidence in this, not because I built it, but because I've been playing the absolute living shit out of it. Like, I'm just like, the whole time at RIW, I was just like, oh, Golem. Like, I didn't play Golem in the tournament. I played Rilsa, but there's the list in the below. I don't know what the other cut is going to be, but and you get to play cool cards like Culling the Week, you know, which is like a free tempt. You Culling the Week your commander, you get a free tempt, you recast it for 4, you know,
Right.
and then you can loot these away in the late game. So anyways, there's that one. But yeah, this deck is looking really sweet. I like everything that's going on. It's nice and slow. It's ponderous. It doesn't attract a lot
Yeah.
of hate. Draw a lot of
And
cards.
every turn is interesting. You know, it's not just like slam body, sacrifice creature, get counters, swing for attack. Like there's some decisions to be made here. There's some timing things to get right. It's just there's a lot of questions to answer with this deck.
No, I
like it.
agree, and I think that's a really it's an astute point. Like people like decks that have like relevant decision making, and this one rewards an astute player for how you play the deck. And
Because
save,
when you were just goldfishing it, you know, by turn 3 or 4, we were like, well, we could Doomblade, or we could do this, or we could do that, or we could do this. Like it's very dependent on the board, which I like. You know, it's not sort of waiting for itself to do something.
yeah,
It can
exactly.
be very reactive, proactive, whatever you need.
Yep, and we do have Deadly Dispute in the deck. We've got that one, Costly Plunder, Village Rites. Is there anything better than Costly Plunder that we're not playing? I don't think so.
I mean, Deadly Dispute.
Yeah,
but
that's
we
the
got
only
them
one
both.
that
So
we've got them, right?
there's like Altar's Reap, but I think that only hits creatures.
Yeah, only creatures. Yeah.
So
Well,
yeah.
I think we've got it. This is a great place to start, if nothing else.
100%. This is a great beginning.
Yeah, this is a great start to the deck. Actually, one last thing: Cave of Temptation.
I'd be fine if we took it out. Like it's cute with Guardian,
But I think we just rather have another swamp, right?
but it hurts when you need colored mana.
Yeah. Oops,
So-
we don't have 2 draw spits. We're gonna have 2 swamps.
I mean, if you want to add anything for Guardian, I'd put in like a Prying Blade or something, but even still.
Or a cranial. Well,
What-
cranial doesn't actually work that great here. Bone Picker does work good. Or sorry, not Bone Picker, but Bone Splitter.
Bone Splitter, sure.
Yep. And actually, Bone Picker is looking better and better with every hand we've played. Right, like
Yeah.
that one
Hell
turn
yeah.
where we like played a tap land instead of like tapping the swamp. To we went Soul of Migration. We could have also cast Bone Picker in that turn, the evoke, right?
Oh my god, gross.
And Bone Picker is very good. Is Battle Screech? Battle Screech seems like it's going to be pretty free, right? Like we've got a
it's
lot
gonna
of
be pretty
1/1s.
free, sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
A lot of white 1/1s. We didn't see it in our playtesting, and then the reanimation package was spicy. Very good.
Yep. Very
so much
spicy.
good
I
stuff
love
to
it.
put into play. You know, one other thing, just one last thing before we quit here. The fact that Resurrection, Late to Dinner, False Defeat, and Breath of Life don't trigger Benelish Sleeper is actually why we should play Slum Reaper. Because
Because it's not
a
an
kicker.
ETB.
Yeah.
It's a kicker. Oh,
and if
that
that's
is
the
a very
case,
good point.
like, if that's the case, do we actually want Slum Reaper or do we want First Sphere Garganta? It's like a better creature to bring back.
Oh, I would do the Gargantua over
Yeah,
Slum Reaper any
okay.
day. Yeah, for sure.
And, some of the things that we talk about on the stream all the time, especially when we've had like Derek and whatnot, is that like, I don't play Rot-Tide Garganta in a lot of decks, but in this deck, it's better. So the idea of like staples, of like, templates for your deck, of like how you should build something, you should always assess your deck in context of like what it does and what other cards you have.
Yep.
So every deck needs to be treated differently. Every commander needs to be like respected with its own specific cards. And Rot-Tide Garganta is just better in this deck.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah, for sure.
like 4 mana, bring back this 5/4 that sacks 3 creatures from your opponents is better than 4/2.
Seems good.
Yeah,
Yeah, seems
like
good
we get to
me.
cheat on it. So cool. Well, this has been incredible, Brad. I'm
It's been
so glad that we
awesome.
got to do one of
Yeah,
these, and I
for
really,
sure.
really do hope we get to do another one sometime soon in the near future.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So as we get to signing off here, I'd love for you to tell folks where they can find your content, where they can find you on Twitter and on YouTube.
Yeah, the podcast is just the PDH Pod, and pretty much on any platform where there is content, that's what you'll find us under.
Are you
We're on Twitch.
are you
What's that?
also the PDH Pod on YouTube? Oh, sorry, that link is broken. So
Yeah, the PDH Pod.
is it? And what's the YouTube link?
Yep.
Do you have? Is it YouTube.com? Oh, I actually entered it wrong. YouTube.com/. Is it the PDH Pod for YouTube?
Yeah, it should be the PDH Pod.
The PDH Pod.
Let me check on that.
Let's try that here. It's giving me an error 404. But you've got it on Spotify too. Let me see if I can
Oh
pull
yeah,
up
yeah.
Spotify.
Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts,
Yeah.
all that good stuff. We're on Twitch. The podcast is on Twitter at the PDH Pod. I'm on Twitter at Pauper_B. And yeah, that's about it.
Pauper_B. There we go. Cool.
Yep.
And their name is pretty easy to find. The links and all that, you can just look the PDH Pod. If you even search it on Google, you'll find it in a variety of different contexts there.
Yep.
Brad's always posting great stuff, so definitely make sure to follow him on Twitter if you're in that abhorrent space. And and make sure to check out their new podcast. You've got one that just came out, right? The RIW one?
The episode, yeah, it aired this morning. Yep. We didn't really break down any of the data, the metadata, tournament, anything like that. We just sort of like talked about how awesome the whole weekend was.
That's great. That's awesome. Well, I'm glad we got to double up on the love here together and talk about that as well. It's fun to break that all down. Last thing I want to mention, folks, is if you want to become a connoisseur yourself, a connoisseur of the finest common cardboard, I recommend that you take a look at our Patreon. So I'm going to pull this up right here. If you're enjoying the content, if you're liking what you see, if you love the great hosts we bring on, people like Brad, people like Derek, we're going to have Scarecrow on soon. We've got Clay bringing in members of the Rules Committee, and we've got this incredible community of people who are really dedicated and committed to expanding awareness and deepening our understanding of competitive Pauper Commander. This is a great way to support it. And for $2 a month, you can join as a connoisseur all the way up to a $5, $10, $20, and a $50 level if you're so inclined and you have the resources. This is a great way to get plugged in. And we really thought long and hard about how we wanted to structure this so that it was very accessible for people that maybe didn't have as many resources, but also for people who felt really, excited and committed to it. We offer a lot of value for you as a participant, as a community member, when you contribute at that $10 level. So we have all these interfaces that you see here. If you want these for yourself, you're sitting in Discord, maybe you're playing Dota, you're playing Minecraft, and you want to be able to show your face on your Minecraft screen, or maybe you have aspirations of becoming a content creator yourself. These interfaces that I made custom, I'll rename the thing there with your name, with whatever socials you want. And it's like $50 to $100 to buy those on owned.gg. So you get all that. Even if you did $10 for 1 month, you would get that forever. That would be an evergreen resource for you. You get early access to the videos, you get shout outs, you get to vote on Let's Builds, which we haven't been doing a whole lot lately, but we will be plugging back into that in the coming months here, where every month the members will get to vote on a Let's Build commander. So that's going to be really exciting. And of course, exclusive access to our really awesome supporter section of the Discord, where that's where I post a lot of my results from my gameplay on our commanders. It's where I post my first changes to commanders that I work on a lot. So you get first access to all of that. It's a lot of value, and we really, really love everyone who has chosen to support us. So I want to take a moment to thank all of our patrons, our current existing patrons. we have more. Whoa, that's a fun surprise. Fantastic.
It's always nice, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
You look at it like I don't like actively like mull over this stuff because I don't, I'm not a neurotic person and I don't need to see this every day. But want to thank everyone who is just really putting their money where their mouth is and supporting us. We have the PDH pod. What's up? We got Sanctuary. Oh, that was you guys. That you guys were the ones that just came in. Yeah, baby, let's go. We'll have to do a little patron trade here. We got Sanctuary PDH. We've got Jack. We've got Eric. We've got Adgan, Jerry, Zach, Scooby, Chris, Mizu, William, Paul, Corey, Derek, Devin, Ian, Bobby, Jin Shooting Star, and our longest running and our largest contributing patron, Noyark.
Hell yeah.
So big ups to you all. Thank you all so much for your contributions, and I really appreciate you all just being great supporters of what we do. So
yeah, being generally awesome people.
Yeah, being professional humans. Yeah, I know Clay and I definitely feel like a strong sense of validation every time somebody becomes a patron that we're doing the right thing.
Sure. Mm-hmm.
I know you feel this too, Brad. Like it just feels nice when people do that. And I think also, Clay and I aren't trying to get rich off this,
No.
but we hope someday that it's something that's self-sustaining where we can continue to keep an enormous flow of content. And there is a world out there, a universe, a time where maybe this shit blows up really big. Yeah. And imagine if I was doing
that
this
exists
full
somewhere.
Time, right?
I know,
what if there was
right.
like cPDH every single day, 5 days a week, just crushing content, interviews with, the rules committee, deck builds all the time, gameplay, community games, Discord with like 1,500 people in it, just a bunch of great stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, all of that is like so doable. And every time we get a patron, it really just like says, yeah, that's possible.
It's just one more step towards that goal, buddy.
Yep, absolutely. Well, Brad, you're a wonderful human being. I really am just
absolute pleasure.
Very grateful to be a friend
glad we
with you.
finally got to work this out after multiple years of just texting or chatting.
Yeah, it really is a dream come true. I feel like I'm in the presence of stardom. So, so thank you so much for your time, and thank you everyone in chat who has joined us for this Let's Build. The link is in the description below if you want to take this and buy this yourself and play it, or you can play it on Boxfield Playtest and not buy anything. And with that, I think we're going to wrap it up. So
sounds good. Great deck.
Yeah,
I love it.
With that said, connoisseurs of fine common cardboard, thank you so much for participating in this Let's Build live stream today. I hope you have a wonderful day wherever you're at, and we'll catch you on the battlefield. Peace.
See ya.